I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, Honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You're all set with your Medicare prescriptions, Mrs. Brown.
This is not just low-cost copays at Walgreens.
I can actually help you set up 90-day refills if you want.
This is having a partner you can trust. Get low-cost copays, 90-day refills, and delivery from your neighborhood Walgreens. This is being independent. Together. Walgreens.
Restrictions apply. For details, see walgreens.com/pharmacy.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Temperatures will feel pretty good going through our Monday afternoon. 52 for the high with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Tonight, a weak cold front coming by. More clouds, maybe a sprinkle after midnight, 35. Tuesday, kind of a chilly day. Clouds giving way to partly sunny skies Tuesday afternoon and 45. 49 and sunny on Wednesday. 59 and partly sunny on Thursday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
You couldn't pick a worse time to sell your home. Sure, your home is worth a small fortune right now, but are you really going to swap your 2 or 3% current interest rate and pay 7 or 8% interest on a new house? No way. You don't have to with the Get Paid and Stay program from Truehold. You'll love this. It's a genius idea. With the Get Paid and Stay program, Truehold will buy your home now at its best current value. You bank the cash and stay in your home until interest rates come back down, or as long as you like. It's your call. Plus, you won't have to pay property taxes, insurance, or upkeep anymore. Truehold pays those expenses. Learn about Truehold's Get Paid and Stay program. Call 855-300-9993. That's 855-300-9993. Or visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will pay for your home based on its best current value, not what's coming. Truehold.com, the smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. Call 855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
The Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be fun. This is Ryan Wiggins. I am filling in for Annie Frey, and let's talk about life for a second, because life happens. That's actually what is happening right now. Brad Range can testify to the fact that Annie Frey was actually in here just a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
And the way life happens is when you get a call that your kid is really, really having a tough time, is really, really sick right now, you got to go. And so that's the way life is. Even when you're on the radio, Annie is taking care of her family. And so I am a very last-minute audible filling in here for you and catching up on everything. Now, as you probably know, when I do Wiggins America, I do the Monday roundup. Some of those stories are a little goofier than others, but I'm still kind of, aware of everything happening in the news over the weekend. I do a weekend show, so I don't think that there's anything that's fallen through the cracks. I will tell you that we're going to get to a couple of the big headlines of the day here in just a second. But before we do, let's talk about life a little bit. Did you watch any NFL this weekend? I just want to get that out of the way because that's the subject of our YouTube live chat poll. Who will you cheer for in the Super Bowl? 49ers, Chiefs, Taylor Swift, or you're not watching? I really am curious to know what the results of this poll are because it seems like it should be the Chiefs. We've even carried Chiefs games on this station when there's a conflict with KMOX. But there's so much hatred for the Taylor Swift / Kelsey stuff that maps I've seen suggest that most of the United States is rooting against the Chiefs because they're tired of seeing it. I will say that if I had to answer this, I would say...
You do have to answer this.
Well, as of yesterday... Now, I know we're talking like Super Bowl a couple weeks away.
Yeah.
But as of yesterday, the whole world, the whole country anyway, seemed like they were paying attention to this, and I was not. And about halfway through the Chiefs game, I realized that the Chiefs game was happening. And then I was like, oh, I'm kind of interested to see what the score is. And in fact, forgot at that moment, came back later and went, oh yeah, I forgot to check and see what the Chiefs did. Looked it up. The top 5 stories were about Taylor Swift.
Yep.
And Travis Kelce and what Taylor Swift's touring schedule was going to be like in Japan because she might skip a concert and come to the Super Bowl anyway. I'm not kidding when I say I typed in Super Bowl Chiefs a couple different times and could not find the score of the game. Now, I'm not a huge NFL guy, but that kind of stuff does bother me when the only thing people care about, when I just want to know the score. And again, most people are going to know the score because you're all paying attention and I'm not. But if I just want to know the score of a game, please don't give me the kissing news between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. But there's a lot of people that just love her and they don't love the NFL. So that's all part of this poll today. Who will you cheer for in the Super Bowl? 49ers, Chiefs, Taylor Swift, or not watching? Do you just want to briefly update what you were doing yesterday?
What I was doing yesterday?
As far as NFL goes.
Well, I caught the very end of the Chiefs-Ravens game.
Okay.
I was just flipping through. I was watching the Blues game. I watched the whole Blues game, and then I just caught the end of it, and I watched the epic implosion of the Ravens just out of morbid curiosity. And I'll tell you what, I didn't have it on for 10 seconds before the camera showed a shot of Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I was like, holy cow, these people aren't exaggerating. And I almost wonder, too, if maybe Taylor Swift is like, I just want to watch my boyfriend play football.
You know what? That's probably true.
And stop sticking this camera in my face.
When you're one of the biggest stars in the world, you really can't go anywhere without that happening. And, of course, when you mix in one of the biggest stars in the world with one of the biggest leagues in the world, it's like Posh Spice and soccer. Everybody knew who was dating with David Beckham and all that stuff. So it's going to happen. But you're probably right. She's probably just like, look, let me just watch a football game.
Leave me alone.
Yeah,
I want to celebrate.
In my private suite.
Well, the other side of that is, too, I would say through no fault of her own, just watching her boyfriend play football. She's celebrated. She's had a good time, blah, blah, blah. The camera's been on her constantly, and she has garnered a lot of hatred for that, and I don't think that that's a fair thing to do. I know there's the conspiracy theories out there. I've seen some wild ones with this, and for those of you who don't know, I do enjoy the odd conspiracy theory because I like to see how ridiculous they are and how easy they are to debunk. And this one is like, this is a psyop where the NFL is pushing.
Heck?
Yeah, the NFL is pushing Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce so that they can then they're gonna throw the Super Bowl in the Chiefs' favor, which the Chiefs are a good football team.
Yeah,
so, like they could out win it.
Yeah.
They're going to throw it in their favor, and then Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are going to endorse Joe Biden, and this is going to help him win the election. I'm like, okay, everybody stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. We're getting out over your skis here. But, like, for me, I won't actually be watching the Super Bowl.
Oh, I can't miss the Super Bowl. It's too much of a cultural event. I didn't even care about the game, but there's so many parties and people from church inviting you to stuff and my family and stuff. I can't imagine missing the Super Bowl. I usually don't see the end of the Super Bowl, to be honest with you, though, because it goes late enough that we're like, going home.
Time to go home.
Had the food. We're ready to go. But anyway, that's the subject of the poll today. Just some life stuff, of course, if you're just tuning in right now. Annie, last minute, had to go take care of her kids. Just some sickness that she just had to run. There was just no way around it. So I'm stepping in, filling in today. Big show. I mean, I hate the fact that Annie has to miss such a big show. State Senator Bill Eigel going to come in the next segment. We're going to talk to him. He's, of course, representing Missouri's 23rd district, involved in all this turmoil that I, as an Illinois Illinois resident, am watching from the outside and going, man, there is a lot going on here. So we'll talk about that. He's a candidate for Missouri governor also. And then at 1:07, Steve Moore, who's always on the show, distinguished fellow in economics and heritage. And then Robert Law is the director for the Center of Homeland Security and Immigration at America First Policy Institute. He's on at 1:26. We've got some great stuff for the 2 o'clock hour. So this is a very, very full show.
Don't forget about the giveaway that we're going to be doing.
I did forget about it. Do you want to go ahead and...
Yeah, we're going to be giving away some Jordan Peterson tickets. We're going to give away, for the next 5 days, we're going to be finding a random point during the show where we're going to play a sounder, and we're going to give away a pair of Jordan Peterson tickets for the next 5 days. So you got to stay listening. Don't tune out, and then we'll decide a caller number. It'll go just like those Cardinals tickets do. We're going to do that. He's going to be at the Stiefel Theater on February 14th. And I think
Valentine's Day.
Yep, I think the show starts at 7:30, which the man is fascinating. He's genius, and like you feel smarter whenever you walk out of the room after listening to him.
And romantic. So a great Valentine's Day gift. I did say that we were going to talk about some headlines. Let's go ahead and jump into... Now, a lot of times you walk into a studio and you go, I know what the biggest headline is. Today there's actually a couple. Let's start with this one.
When you lie under oath to Congress, Brian, that is impeachable, and that's what Alejandro Mayorkas has done. And not only that, but he's violated the Immigration and Nationality Act 7-8 times over. And these articles spell that out in specificity. Right now, it looks like there's one or two Republicans that are wavering. So I think it will pass. I really do, because Chairman Mark Green, my good friend from the Homeland Security Committee, has done an exceptional job here. And, the proof's in the pudding. Alejandro Mayorkas has perjured himself. He's putting Americans in danger. I mean, opioid deaths have doubled under the Biden administration. And that's hundreds of thousands of American lives at stake here. So I think we must go forward. It's our constitutional duty to do so.
That is Representative Pat Fallon, a Republican from Texas, talking about the fact that Republicans have released articles of impeachment against Alejandro Mayorkas over the southern border. There's still some uncertainty as to whether this will happen and whether he will actually be impeached. As he just said in that clip right there, they think they've got the votes. But, man, it's a narrow majority, and you're not going to get, as far as I understand it, you're not going to get any Democrats on this unless there's a surprise.
Yeah,
you don't anticipate Democrats, right? One or two even?
No, like the only person that makes me go, maybe, would be Cuellar. Because he's getting crushed in his district by illegal immigration.
Because he's a border rep.
Yeah. But I don't know that that's what he wants now that they've got this, the bipartisan Senate bill in the works.
Yeah.
Now that gives him cover to say, hey, we want this. And he can be like, this is just extremism and talking points and stuff like that. So he can toe the party line while still calling for border security. So I don't think they'll get any.
So let's be clear about what this means, though, before everybody goes into their corners. This does not mean, even if they do impeach him, it does not mean he'll be removed, because that has to go through the Senate.
Impeachment are the charges.
Correct. So just like Donald Trump was impeached but was not removed from office, that's the likelihood of what will happen here. I have been a fan of this. A fan, it's a weird way to put it, but I've been in support of the House doing this. This is the right way to draw attention to this issue. Mayorkas, I tell you, I just went on a flight a couple weeks ago. When you walk into an airport and you see this guy talking, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in anything he's saying. So when I go through TSA, I'm like, if that guy's telling me everything's okay, I'm a little worried about this flight because that guy is not in charge of anything. Clearly, it's the Biden administration that's causing this. Making him the focal point, though, is not wrong. He is technically in charge of this.
It is his responsibility.
So putting an impeachment on him is a way of saying to the American people, we recognize that this is an issue. In fact, at this point, Joe Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre are recognizing that it's an issue.
Right.
They just aren't doing anything about it. And as usual, they're blaming whoever else they can find for the problem.
Well, the other thing about that is then should they pass this and should they have these articles of impeachment, they carry that over. That means that the Senate has to have a trial on it, which means that this case will have to be, for lack of a better term, litigated.
Exactly.
The evidence will be brought forward. Mayorkas will be under oath. He will have to say, no, everything is fine, and then you look at the evidence like everything is not fine, or he will have to say, I'm just following the orders that are coming down from the top, which this is the policies and the procedures that the Biden administration wants to do. It will get them on record. Now, I don't know how much coverage that's going to get because the media has to cover it. It's not going to be like Donald Trump where the media is like, oh my gosh, the president's been impeached, let's cover it. You know, the Secretary of Homeland Security is a little less...
Yeah, he's not as much of a marquee name.
Right.
Honestly, if he wasn't in the airport every time you went, I don't even know that I'd know what he looked like so well. But his face appears every 5 minutes when you're in an airport. I want to ask, we have a guest coming up about this in the 1 o'clock hour. Robert Law, he's the director of the Center for Homeland Security and Immigration at America First Policy Institute. I'll probably ask him the same question, but I want to ask you this, Brad. Is this an issue that very much unlike the impeachment of Donald Trump? Is this an issue that now you would look at this impeachment and say, this is actually bipartisan? Not that Democrats are going to vote for it, but that America sees it and goes, yeah, I actually see a reason for an impeachment here.
Boy, that's a tough one to answer. Maybe. I mean, really, I don't know how much. I mean, maybe. I think more so now than ever in the past because now it's starting to make more headlines. You're starting to hear more about like Democrat-run cities saying, hey, we're being overrun, that sort of thing. That makes it into the mainstream a little bit. Maybe a year ago it wasn't.
I would agree. Yeah.
So I think that this might get people looking at that. And actually, in all honesty, I think when they do polling, I think this is this is the number one issue for people.
It has risen to number one of all issues ahead of economy.
Yes.
Which, that's tough to do.
Yeah, and the big, indication that this is actually hitting home with the American people, now that I think about it, is the Biden administration has pivoted. The Democrats have pivoted, and now they're trying to tell the American people, hey, this is actually the Republicans' fault.
Yes.
They know that the border is an issue. Now the accusations are the Republicans don't want to fix it. I do want to be very clear on this, though. Joe Biden could fix the border today. He has every law in the book that he needs to fix it right now, today. I think that would be a great question to ask Mr. Law from the American
How fast could Joe Biden fix this if he chose to? I mean, he's dug a pretty deep hole, so that's the hard part is that, yes, you could fill the hole, but you do have to start filling it at some point, and the hole's pretty deep. I will agree that, there's not going to be Democrats that vote for this, but I do believe that we are at a point now, and you mentioned the polling, it's the number one issue in the United States at this moment, the border, and it's not because anybody wants that to be the issue. The economy is a natural number one. That's what comes to mind first for people most of the time. This has been thrust upon people enough that they're having to pay attention to it. So I don't believe that you're going to have any Democrat voters look at an impeachment of Alejandro Mayorkas and go, about darn time.
Yeah.
But they are going to sort of nod and say, well, I get it. I don't necessarily want to be a part of all this, but I get it. So I do think that this is a move that needed to happen. I'm glad that they're doing it. We are going to take a short break. Like I said, filling in for Andy Frey, kind of last minute here. I'm Ryan Wiggins. She got a call literally 10 minutes before the show that her kid was sick, and it was one that there's just nothing you can do. She had to run. So last minute audible. It's okay. This is how we do things on the Andy Frey Show. The rest of the team's still here, and we will be filling in. Bill Eigel was scheduled to come on the show, and that is next. He represents Missouri's 23rd District, all this drama that's going on in the Missouri Senate. He is right there. We're going to find out from his perspective what it is, how we fix it, how we move on. That's all next here on the Annie Frey Show.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Patrick's hypnosis seminar, February 6, 2019. Nothing worked before. Left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds, and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day, and nothing worked until Mark Patrick hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food. Crazy. Enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick hypnosis really works?
It's amazing. I can breathe again. My blood pressure went down, and I've got so much energy.
So much energy.
And look great.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars early bird special, only $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings. That's right. Seminars Tuesday, January 30th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights, and Wednesday, January 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
How would you like to make no mortgage payments for 2 months? Are you tired of making minimum payments on high-interest credit cards? Is student loan repayment giving you the blues? Your home equity is at an all-time high. Use that equity to save hundreds every month. Call 314-567-GOLD now and give yourself a payment break. That's 314-567-GOLD. Or visit goldenoaklending.com. NMLS 114937.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated. Keep the air you're paying to heat where it should be with 15% off attic insulation. For a free estimate on attic insulation, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Conservatives Care supports organizations making a difference in our community. Kim St. Ange here. USO Missouri serves active, reserve, and National Guard military members and their families throughout the St. Louis Metro and Kansas City. Learn how you can support their mission at 971talk.com/care.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
These are not actions taken lightly, but it is clear that they are both timely and necessary.
On Tuesday, a major shakeup in the Missouri Senate as a handful of Republicans who make up the Freedom Caucus lost key positions on Senate committees. Senator Dene Hoskins of Warrensburg no longer leads the Economic Development Committee. Senator Andrew Koenig of St. Louis is gone from leading the Committee on Education and Workforce Development. And Senator Bill Eigel of St. Charles loses his chairmanship of Veterans and Military Affairs. It comes after the Freedom Caucus had refused to let any legislation move forward in the Senate over a disagreement on the order that legislation is going to be handled.
Well, I got to tell you, filling in for Annie Frey today, this is Ryan Wiggins, last-minute replacement here. But when I look at news items, you know, we look at a lot of national, we look at a lot of Illinois because 3 out of the 4 of us on this show are from Illinois. But when local/Missouri state politics are making the news, man, this is one of those that I'm like, wow, there are some fireworks. So Senator Bill Eigel is on the phone with us right now to talk about some of these headlines that maybe you've seen. Maybe you're a little bit in the dark as to what exactly all this means for Missouri, because ultimately it's about policy. Bill Eigel, thanks for being here.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So can you walk us through, again, I'm an Illinois resident. We have a lot of Illinois discussions on this show. So we're catching up a little bit. We're always a little bit behind the Mark and the Mark shows for the morning and afternoon. They know Missouri. Yeah. We know Illinois. So catch us up a little bit on what has been going on, all these headlines that maybe the casual observer has been seeing, the timeline and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the past 4 weeks, the Freedom Caucus, which includes myself and a few other senators in Jefferson City, have been leading the fight to push initiative petition reform through the Missouri Senate and the Missouri House so that we can protect our Constitution from the pro-abortion groups that are trying to put an initiative petition that will enshrine abortion back into our Constitution in the upcoming election cycle in 2024. Specifically, we want to see what's known as a concurrent majority installed into the Constitution before issues like that get any further votes. A concurrent majority basically says that in addition to get the 50+1% simple majority standard, you would have to get 50+1% of the state House districts to vote for an initiative petition before it goes into effect. So instead of just Kansas City and St. Louis voting a lot of these things through, which are very left-leaning and are oftentimes based on very dishonest out-of-state spending, it would require a much greater consensus between the urban and rural parts of our state if we're going to change the founding document of Missouri. So that's what we've been fighting for. And when we say fighting, that we've been leveraging our leadership by slowing down really anything else from happening in the chamber over the past few weeks until they start to move and push the initiative petition reform bills through the process. Well, up until last week, we didn't see any movement. So we've been slowing the chamber down, and quite frankly, it makes them very uncomfortable, leadership that is. And they responded last week out of anger at us for being bold about our stance on initiative petition reform. They removed us from our chairmanships. They took our parking spaces underneath the Senate garage. They threatened to come into our public Senate offices and remove our furniture as some sort of punishment. And, these are the same kind of silencing tactics that we see happening to Donald J. Trump at the national level. The left is trying to get him kicked off the ballot. The left is trying to charge him with false criminal allegations. And it's all designed to try to shut him up. And the same thing is happening to us here in Missouri. They're stripping us of chairmanships, stripping us of parking spaces. But, we weren't elected by the leadership team. We were elected by the people in our individual Senate districts. So we're going to continue fighting. And quite frankly, we're going to continue making leadership in the swamp uncomfortable if they don't want to do those big Republican things.
State Senator Bill Eigel on the phone with us. So up until the stuff that got all of this attention with the parking spots and the furniture and removing you guys from your chairmanships and all this, why, from your perspective, has there been a slow walk? Why has there been resistance to initiative petition reform, which is something that even I, again, outside looking in, that's something that I know has been a priority for Republicans in Missouri, but it seems like it can't get across the finish line. Why have they been slow walking that?
I think that's only a question that they can answer. And it wasn't until, we went through all of last session with that as our number one priority, and leadership just found a way to kill it, by taking too long to move the bills. Last year, the initiative petition reform bill didn't even make it to the Senate floor until after spring break, when more than half the session was over. So we were behind the power curve. We ultimately didn't get it done. And then we come into this year, and they won't even refer the bill. So as a result of the pressure that we put on them for the past 4 weeks, slowing things down, finally, on Thursday of last week, they referred the bills to committee. And in about an hour and a half, they're going to actually hear those bills in a public hearing just shortly. And the reason those things are happening is because we've been putting pressure on them. So we're going to continue putting pressure on them. And if they think that they can silence us by taking away chairmanships. Listen, we didn't come to Jefferson City because we wanted to be a chairman or we were going to get a great parking spot. We came down here to fight for the principles that we promised our constituents we would, and that's exactly what we're doing.
State Senator Bill Eigel on the phone with us. He represents Missouri's 23 district currently, and he's also a candidate for governor of Missouri. What I think surprises me, and you've been getting attention from people outside of Missouri on this. I mean, I've seen the tweets. Pretty big names in the U.S. House have been bringing this to attention. This is among Republicans. This isn't Democrats versus Republicans. This is Republicans versus Republicans. I think that's what everybody is a little bit surprised to see. Is it surprising to you, or is this just kind of the way things are everywhere, where you're kind of seeing the Republican versus Republican, two different philosophies within the party going against each other?
Well, it's interesting that, in Missouri, the people of Missouri have already said in every election cycle going back for the past 20 years that they want to see the principles as articulated under the GOP platform to be the law of the land, that they want us to propose legislation. They want us to govern in accordance with the GOP platform. The reason that we're seeing Republican infighting right now is because we have too many Republicans that don't truly want to pass these big legislative ideas. An initiative petition is one of them. I keep hearing Cindy O'Loughlin and Caleb Rowden say in public that they want to pass these things too. But if that were true, their actions would match that, and these things would be passing. There would be no need for the conflict that we see right now. As I travel the state for my statewide campaign, I'm talking to a lot of Republicans, and they express the same kind of frustration and anger that all these big red Republican ideas just aren't getting done, even though we're sending record levels of Republicans down to Jefferson City. My message to those folks, if you're listening to this interview right now and you're upset about these things not getting done, my message to you is you're not alone. There are millions of Missourians that are just as frustrated as you are. 2024 is the year that we're going to stand up and say we're not afraid of the swamp and the status quo, even if they try to silence us, whether it's in Jefferson City or all over the state. And we are going to fight to push through the things that we promised we would back in campaign season. We're going to protect our Constitution. We're going to cut taxes, and we're going to be bold about it. And if it makes the swamp uncomfortable, like clearly it is for Senators O'Loughlin and Rowden, that is not going to deter us.
State Senator Bill Eigel, you mentioned Caleb Rowden. Of course, he is at the center of this whole thing, too. And we have reached out to him. Brad can confirm. We reached out to him.
Yeah, we've reached out to Caleb Rowden's office, Senator Rowden's office, to get him to extend an invite to come onto the show to talk to us about this. And I'll follow up again after the show to see if I've got any more information on that.
And so, Bill, I was looking into this issue last week just because, honestly, from the time the parking lot drama started, that's when I'm like, okay, this is a big deal. There's a lot going on. And now I'm interested, and I've been looking into it, covered it a little bit this weekend. And I was asking the question that maybe you can speak to, too, which is from Caleb Rowden, from other, again, this is Senate Republican leadership that's been, moving this ball very, very slowly, if at all. I was asking, well, why from their perspective would this be happening? The only answer I got that I heard that I thought, well, maybe there's some legitimacy to that, I'll throw it to you, is that they think that initiative petition reform maybe wouldn't pass in the state. Is that a concern?
That whether or not they think that the people of this state are going to ultimately pass on into the Constitution is not necessarily a reason not to pass the reform. I mean, we came down here, we promised that we were going to fight for these things. I happen to believe that the people of Missouri who elected the senators that are fighting for these things are going to accept a change. In fact, we've been working in the interim before session started. We have been working with the grassroots. We've been working with actual people all over this state to see what changes would be most amenable to the public. And this is what we've come up with. So the idea that, well, we're not going to try, and I know I'm paraphrasing this, but if their attitude is, well, we're not sure it's going to pass, therefore we're not even going to try. Well, this strikes me as weakness. And they're really just looking for opportunities not to do what they said they were going to do. This has been a Republican priority for more than 1 year. They didn't get it done last year. Oftentimes I hear them say that, well, we want to preserve the process of the Missouri Senate. There's a specific way of doing things. Well, that status quo, that way of doing things is exactly what failed us last year and is in the process of failing us so far this year. And it's only because the Freedom Caucus decided to put a tremendous amount of pressure on the leadership of this chamber that finally on Thursday and today, things are starting to move. Our commitment is we're going to keep the pressure up until that bill has left the Senate and has passed the House as well.
You mentioned that you've been pushing for this, and so there is going to be action. You and the Freedom Caucus, of course. There's going to be action on this in about an hour and a half, so that would be roughly 2 o'clock. What exactly is that? What happens today? What's the big news that could happen today anyway?
So the next step in the process, now that they finally referred the bills on Thursday, and today we'll have the public hearing. So the regular process has us soliciting feedback from the public. So the public's going to get a chance to weigh on this about 2 o'clock. We have to get that completed. My expectation is that they will vote those bills out of the committee maybe tomorrow or the next day, and send the bills back to the Senate floor by the end of this week. And maybe by the end of this week, we could already be debating them on the Senate floor, or maybe early next week. So there's still a lot more steps in the process. And then, of course, even once it leaves the Senate, it's got to get through the House. So this is a conversation that is not going to be solved or be over just in the next 48 to 72 hours. This is something that is going to take several weeks with the effort of everybody involved. And if leadership starts getting weak knees again, then expect us to continue being bold about the fact that we're not going to let them off the hook.
State Senator Bill Eigel on the phone with us. There's one issue that initiative petition reform is one that's kind of the marquee that's getting the attention right now. But one that we've talked about quite a bit on this show is school choice and reforming the laws regarding that in Missouri. And I just wondered where that sits right now. Even if it's not the number one, it's certainly on the list, and I've been seeing it come up. Where is that right now?
So great point. We've got a big education reform bill that's actually already made it through committee and is sitting on the formal calendar for perfection. So that's another bill that we could actually get to pretty quick. If I will tell you this, if leadership wanted to, they could actually get to a Senate floor debate on the education reform bill today. So we wouldn't even have to wait, not even, and the Freedom Caucus has already made clear, we're not going to slow down education reform, even for IP reform, because they're at two different parts of the process here. So we could actually get to education reform over the next couple days while we're waiting for initiative petition reform to finish up in committee, and then deal with initiative petition form next week. So we can do both. And the fact that here we are, the only reason that these things are moving through the system is because leadership knows that if it stops or slows down, we're going to start making them uncomfortable again. They're already tremendously uncomfortable, and it's something that we intend to continue to fight for. But I'm very optimistic that we're going to get something done on education reform. The only reason that we don't get something done on education reform is if we have another leadership failure.
Again, as an Illinoisan looking into Missouri, I would have to say I've never been so enthralled with what's happening in Missouri. So Bill Eigel is at the center of that. State Senator Bill Eigel represents Missouri's 23rd district, candidate for governor of Missouri. BillEigel.com, at Bill Eigel on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us, not only on the phone, but on Zoom. We appreciate that.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. Have a great afternoon.
Yeah, you too. This is the Annie Frey Show, and if you're just tuning in, you're wondering, why is Annie not there? Well, she was here. In fact, if you've been on the stream, you might have even seen her. I think we went live right as she was getting a phone call this morning, roughly 45 minutes ago, right before the show, that her kid was sick and that she had to immediately go because it was one of those. So we are praying that everything is okay, and hopefully she'll be back tomorrow. It's just one of those last-minute life calls things, and so I'm filling in. This is a big show. We just talked to Bill Eigel, and great to get just the P's and Q's of everything happening at the kind of the grassroots level. This is the way things happen. I know that if you're listening to that and you're not super interested in the goings-on of local things or statewide things, you're going, man, how does this affect me? It really does. If you live in Missouri, this is the kind of stuff that you want to get involved with, because by the time it becomes marquee news, this is the stuff that affects that. So glad to have him on today. He contacted the show last week, and Brad said, yeah, let's do it. And we, of course, have reached out to Caleb.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Rowden's office, and we're going to try to get him on the show so he can kind of share his thing. So that way you guys out here in Missouri get the full story. We want both sides of this so everybody can hear what's going on and you can make an informed decision.
There you go. It's the Annie Frey Show. I am Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Frey. We haven't really talked about what we're going to do next. So usually it's Wiggins America. So I guess we'll just continue doing Wiggins America, even though it kind of feels like that's the way the show is right now. Stick around. That's coming up next here on The Annie Frey Show.
This is The Annie Frey Show. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
An announcement to all United States vehicle owners who own a 2003 or newer vehicle with a manufacturer's warranty about to expire, or no warranty coverage at all. With a struggling economy and the cost of living on the rise, Endurance is now offering an affordable, low-cost vehicle coverage plan to the general public. As of today, you could be one of millions of drivers that now may qualify to have your vehicle protected under this coverage and have all future covered auto repairs paid directly to the repair shop for you. You pick your plan. You pick your deductible. You even pick the repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental coverage is included. Get your vehicle protected now and save your wallet from costly vehicle repairs. A toll-free number has been established for you to call for your free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number to call is 800-291-1017. 800-291-1017. Again, that's 800-291-1017. Coverage, deductibles, and claims may vary. For details, go to endurancewarranty.com.
Mark Cox here for Hampton Manor of Wentzville. It's a new senior living community with outstanding amenities, a personal chef, and a great location just off I-70 at Lake St. Louis. Schedule your visit today. Go online to wentzvilleassistedliving.com.
I hate winter, but as a kid I used to love it snowing, and my dog, when it snows, he's just like me being a little Hoosier. When it snows, we wake up and we would just run outside. We didn't care what we had on and just run around and build snowmen, roll around in the snow. He does the exact same thing. He can't build snowmen. He wants to do snow angels. But if you can picture this, he's a big German Shepherd, all right? He's good size. But he's got little legs and little arms. He doesn't know he's a dog, but he wants to make snow angels, so he tries his best. And he just ends up just rolling around in circles for the longest time. You got to love it. With that being said, keep the calls coming. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. It is 314-293-2600. That's Bart Inman, 314-293-2600. And BartInman.com. That is a B for Bart. How do I say? Bart with a B, Inman with an I.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. This new year, make some resolutions that will improve the environment. Resolve to recycle more. Recycle paper, bottles, and cans. Reuse paper and plastic bags and get a reusable bag for groceries. Recycle old clothes by donating them to charity. And recycle old electronics like TVs, computers, and cell phones at appropriate e-waste facilities. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Today's YouTube live chat poll, who will you cheer for in the Super Bowl? Will you cheer for the 49ers, for the Chiefs, for Taylor Swift? Or are you not watching? Jump on Annie's YouTube page and vote. The poll will be right there as soon as you log in to vote. Give us a vote. Tell us why you voted the way you voted. We want to know your answer. And then we will read those results at the end of the show. The time is 12:45. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
You're here to connect and to know. We're here to deliver the world, the country, and the community.
Your home for conservative talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Give me a second, I need to get my story straight. My friends are in the bathroom getting higher than the Empire State.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Across the bar, my seat's been taken by some sunglasses, asking about a scar, and I know I gave it to you months ago. I know you're trying to forget.
Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Frey. I know there are two sides to that issue on the Missouri stuff. That's why I like to hear people who are objective talk about it. I talked to Mark Cox over the weekend, actually. He was able to stick in for a segment with me, and I asked him those very questions, which is kind of the frame of reference that I had going into talking to Bill Eigel there. And just to hear what both sides are saying. I think Mark Cox, of course, has an opinion. That's why he's Mark Cox.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he does. He is a news and opinion host. That's why we all have opinions. But I wanted to hear kind of, well, what could be the explanation from the other side? Because I hear Bill Eigel talk, and I'm like, why aren't we getting this done? You know? But of course, we've said we've reached out to Caleb Rowden. We'll see if we can get him on the show to talk about that. But my whole thing, and I came away from talking to Mark this weekend and just listening to Bill just now, we look at federal government, and we're in St. Louis, Missouri. We are nowhere near Washington, D.C. These are national, international figures. We once in a while do get to talk to them, thank God, on this show. That's very fun. But for the most part, they are distant figures that are making decisions outside of what we have any influence over. However, when you look at Missouri and Illinois politics, these are people that are right here in our backyards. And it seems to me that the same rules apply. You just hope that even if people have different priorities than you, that's why you have political parties. Because Democrats are going to vote one way, Republicans are generally going to vote another, even a third party might vote a different way. You hope that they stick to their convictions and they still represent you, that it doesn't become personal, that they make decisions that are representative of their electorate, not of their own benefit.
Or their own party.
Or of lobbyists or anybody else. When it starts to look like you're doing things because you're having squabbles or you could personally benefit from voting a certain way, that's when it becomes very problematic. And that, to me, is almost the definition of the swamp.
Well, yeah, and I was sitting here and I'm looking at this from the point of view as an Illinois resident. And you know what you don't have in Illinois amongst Democrats is this sort of squabbling. And
that's a fact, Brad.
And what you have is you've got downstate Democrats who have their constituents have very different interests than upstate Democrats, and you have downstate Republicans who have different interests than their upstate Republicans do. But what you don't see with that supermajority that the Democrats have in Missouri is any representation outside of what the party says. And that's what happens. So I know it feels yucky and gross, but I would encourage you, Missourians, it could be way worse. You could have a Democrat supermajority, and they're lockstep, and they're just dragging you along with whatever they want.
Which for years was just run by one man named Mike Madigan, and the money flows downward, and they do exactly as they're told. Whereas in Missouri, here's the interesting thing. Brad, you bring up Missouri. We just saw it happen at the national level. In the House of Representatives, among Republicans, you saw them kick out their own leader, Kevin McCarthy. Now, at the time, we were watching it and going, man, this is messy.
Yeah.
But that's what real democracy looks like.
Well, it's real democracy. It's real debate. It's real conversations. You understand that your party has different shades of red, and all of those shades of red are valuable and needed. And then you look over at the Democrat Party, and you would never see that because that is the party above all. Party above all. We will never do this. Everybody do the same thing, and this is what we want. And those of you who are out there that are Democrats, maybe you're a little bit underrepresented because your constituent or your elected representative isn't representing your interests. They're just marching in lockstep with the rest of the party instead of meeting what it is you put them there to do.
And even when you think you're going to see the Democrats rebel against their own party,
they don't.
You have the squad. You have AOC. These people were the populists. They were the young ones going to come in and make a difference. They were going to shake up Washington. You know what Nancy Pelosi did? Made them get in line.
Yep.
And you know what they did? They got in line. Nothing happened. So as much as we talk about, and even when in the midst of the House of Representatives, the national stuff, man, you had people all over the board on what they thought about what was happening. But it is good to take a step back when we look at that stuff and this local stuff and go, you know what? This actually is a good process. They will find some sort of compromise here. Something will happen. I don't know what that is yet, but this is good that it's happening. Time for Wiggins America.
Wiggins! Oh! Monday Roundup!
All right. I stepped on that last part. So this is the stuff that maybe fell through the cracks over the weekend. I had this all ready, so we're going to go forward with some of the stories that you might have missed. The first one. Leah's in the room, by the way. Leah, hello.
Hi.
React to this for me. Fast-growing engineered cow cells could slash the cost of cultured meat. Engineered cells that make the substances they need to grow could dramatically reduce the cost of cultivating lab-grown steaks. Your initial reaction?
That sounds gross.
No, thank you. I don't
Yeah.
like that. I don't like that at all. I don't like tweaking with the genetic makeup of the cells so that you can get it to grow faster in a petri dish.
I got to tell you, whenever I read the headlines, I agree. When I go, oh, lab-grown meat. In fact, I saw that Florida is considering banning lab-grown meat, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're not the only state that does that, just because it has a very, very negative stigma. But I personally, if I can't tell the difference between a lab-grown steak and a regular steak, and that's the key, because if I can tell a difference, then I care. If I can't, whether it be in taste or in some sort of weird health benefit or detriment down the road, then I don't care. And if it's cheaper, even better.
Yeah, but that, a cow is a cow. It's not grown in a petri dish, and it's not something that could be slowly modified into not a cow from a petri dish. It would just be a cow the whole time. And I don't trust anybody to make meat whenever you could just grow it naturally.
I think that's the key, is that you have to trust people to create it properly.
I don't.
When you have a cow, you know it's cow.
Yeah.
You might be feeding it some weird stuff.
And I know the big argument is like, oh, but the carbon footprint. It's not that big of a deal. Grow the cows, have the cows. I don't want to eat your petri dish meat.
I don't have my whip sound effect, so we'll just move on. It's the Monday Roundup. All right. Five Ukrainian officials arrested over the theft of $40 million in war funds as Ukraine corruption persists.
I don't know about you, but I am shocked.
I couldn't believe it when I saw that the money was maybe being used for the wrong purposes.
There was corruption in Ukraine?
Incredible.
These are the defenders of democracy, Ryan.
The funds were intended to purchase 100,000 mortar shells for the war. Instead, it went into these 5 Ukrainian officials' pockets.
All right.
$40 million.
In all seriousness, I don't have a problem with funding the war in Ukraine as long as what the money goes to is actually fighting back on the Russians. I hate that Russia has taken over territory that isn't theirs. They marched into somebody else's home and they took it from them. That's the way I see this. So I don't see any problem with supporting Ukraine as far as that goes. But man, this is like what everybody's worried about. Well, how do we know the money's going to where they're going? The artillery shells are huge. They're important and vital to that war effort. And these people are like, we're just not going to get them, and I'm going to put this in my bank account.
Brad, most Republicans have not fought hard against the idea, at least initially, of funding a war in Ukraine. Some have, but the majority haven't. But they have been saying this. All Republicans have been united in saying there needs to be more oversight in this massive amount of spending. They're talking about spending more right now when this report is coming out, when they're doing the budget battle.
It's like they write a check that says 4 artillery shells on it,
yeah,
and then they give
like
it to
in the
Ukraine.
memo.
Yeah.
Yeah, here you go.
Got to have like some better controls than that. I know, guys, I know that a lot of this is that we'll take old equipment, send that over to Ukraine, and then we'll use these funds that they're doing to buy new equipment for the U.S. military. But this right here shows that that's not the only way that this goes. And that money that goes over there cash-wise needs more oversight.
And I don't know why Democrats would fight against that, but they say, no. Don't you step into this. You just fund it and you be happy. That is a stupid position.
I think it's a political position.
It is entirely a political position. Last story before we get to the top of the hour here. Bud Light is stepping back into the Super Bowl commercial lane. You know, in the midst of everything that's happened since the last Super Bowl, it'll be interesting at least to see what they do, how they position themselves. But it looks like from the teaser that they've released that they're trying to get back into the having a mascot thing, where it's something like Frogs or Spuds McKenzie or the What's Up guys. It looks like they're trying to center a new campaign around some figure like that. But nobody knows exactly what it is because the teaser just has some guy walking up to the camera and going, it's you. And that's it.
Oh, no.
So there you go. Watch out for that when you watch the Super Bowl. If you will be watching the Super Bowl, our YouTube live chat poll of the day is about that. Who will you cheer for in the Super Bowl? 49ers, Chiefs, Taylor Swift, or you're not watching? Let us know, excuse me, which one of those categories you fall into, and we will let you know at the end of the show. This is the Andy Frey Show.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The next move is up in the air. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Biden's been meeting with his National Security Council, including Defense Chief Lloyd Austin, after the deadly attack on a U.S. base in Jordan, blamed on Iran proxies. 3 American soldiers were killed, more than 30 wounded, there as part of the ongoing mission against ISIS.
We do not seek another war. We do not seek to escalate. But we will absolutely do what is required to protect ourselves, to continue that mission, and to respond appropriately to these attacks.
National Security Council spokesman John Kirby declining to speculate on the possible response. The attack follows more than 150 others targeting U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria.
Congressional Republicans say this time Biden's punch back has got to be different. No more targeting weapons storage warehouses and missile launch sites used by Iranian proxy groups, but they're pushing to go after targets inside Iran itself. Senator John Cornyn telling Biden to target the capital city of Tehran. Lindsey Graham saying hit Iran now, hit them hard. A number of Republicans say Biden bears responsibility for this because his previous responses to the more than 160 proxy attacks on American forces since October were not strong enough.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the White House. Republican presidential hopeful Nikki Haley telling Fox News,
this is not about hitting Iran hard. This is about hitting Iran smart.
Including, she says, tougher sanctions on the funding and strikes on production sites in Iraq and Syria, where the U.S. has targeted proxy sites already.
And then the third thing is you have to figure out which Iranian leaders are making the decisions, and you take them out.
Less than a month to the Republican primary in her home state, South Carolina, Haley also says former President Trump and President Biden are focusing too much on personalities and not the American people. America is listening to Fox News.
Can't sleep with this cold.
Honey.
Honey?
Honey, you need NyQuil Severe Honey.
NyQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a dreamy honey taste.
Feeling better, honey? Honey? I'll take that as a yes.
Try NyQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu symptom relief. NyQuil Severe with honey flavor. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever. Honeylicious, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You're all set with your Medicare prescriptions, Mrs. Brown.
This is not just low-cost copays at Walgreens.
I can actually help you set up 90-day refills if you want.
This is having a partner you can trust. Get low-cost copays, 90-day refills, and delivery from your neighborhood Walgreens. This is being independent. Together. Walgreens.
Restrictions apply. For details, see walgreens.com/pharmacy.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Temperatures will feel pretty good going through our Monday afternoon. 52 for the high with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Tonight, a weak cold front coming by. More clouds, maybe a sprinkle after midnight, 35. Tuesday, kind of a chilly day. Clouds giving way to partly sunny skies Tuesday afternoon and 45. 49 and sunny on Wednesday, 59 and partly sunny on Thursday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here, and so are St. Louis's conservative thought leaders. St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members, FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Do you want more control over your business spending? Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management platform designed to save you time and money. Ramp offers unlimited corporate cards with spend controls you can customize to stop wasteful spending before it happens. Ramp makes expense reports a breeze by automatically collecting receipts and matching them to the right transaction. You'll close your books in hours instead of days. Ramp allows you to see all of your company spend in one place, so you can make quick, informed decisions about your business finances. Plus, Ramp will share insights based on your spending to help you cut costs. Over 15,000 businesses have added up to 5% to their bottom line with Ramp. You can be one of them. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free. ramp.com/free.
Listen, it's no secret most real estate agents make big promises and oftentimes end up selling their clients' homes for less than what they may have been led to believe. This is not the case for my friend and trusted agent Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, St. Louis real estate expert. Mark Cox here. Gloria doesn't make promises she can't keep. She makes guarantees in writing. Here's the truth. Right now, agents know that some customers will choose the agent that tells them the highest price. Talk about a stressful way to sell a home. Gloria makes it really simple by providing an upfront written guaranteed price. And if your home sells for less than the guaranteed price, she will pay you the difference. Gloria takes all the risk off the table for a home seller who's trying to get the most amount of money for their home. Get your guaranteed price right now. Call Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Nothing says I love you like romantic, timeless jewelry. Even better when you can save an extra 20%. Right now at Diamonds Direct, all fashion favorite jewelry is 20% off. That's earrings, bracelets, pendants, bands, colored gemstone jewelry. Get 20% off Diamonds Direct's already unbeatable
affordable prices, special financing too. Get her something she can enjoy and appreciate for years to come. A fashion favorite from Diamonds Direct. Shop in-store or online at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
The Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Yeah, Biden's approval is historically low. Why is that?
Everybody's approval across the spectrum. You find exceptions to that. Look, it's been hard globally the last 6-7 years. But again, America stands tall. We're the tentpole of the world economy. No peers economically. Again, a masterclass of delivering. The economy is booming, inflation is cooling, and of course the economic strategies this president's put together were all things Republicans dreamt of, but never delivered. He's delivered.
That is Gavin Newsom, who's talking about how the economy is booming. I'm so glad to hear that because that's not the reality I'm living. I like that reality better. Stephen Moore is on the phone with us. Stephen, how are you doing?
Hey, Ryan, good to be with you.
Distinguished Fellow in Economics and Heritage with us every Monday. I'm filling in for Annie. Annie has a sick kid, so now you're caught up. Newsom, Newsom is living in a world that I would like to be living in, Stephen.
Right. Well, it's so ironic that Gavin Newsom is the economic spokesperson now for the Biden administration since the economy of California has collapsed. I mean, it is a state where they could lose 4 congressional seats at the end of this decade. So many people are moving out. That would be the first time ever that's happened in California. So California is losing billions and billions of dollars by driving people out with their high taxes. And, it's hard to make California a place that people want to move from. Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful weather, beautiful mountains. And so he's been a total disaster. They have a homeless problem. They have an illegal immigration problem. They won't control their borders. And the economy is contracting. They have a large budget deficit. So, this is hardly the kind of person you would want to be telling you how wonderful the economy is, given the problems that they've seen in California. And meanwhile, look, the economy is better, no question. It's improved a lot in the last year, but people are still, half of Americans are still poorer today than they were when Biden came into office, and that tends to be the people at the bottom of half of the income spectrum. So if Biden wants to take credit for that, he can have at it.
Yeah, it's a little surprising that he is touting Bidenomics when I'm looking at a USA Today story right now, not exactly a right-leaning publication. Right. It says a new study exposes the finances of Americans. Most Americans can't handle a $1,000 emergency expense, which means that, and it says roughly half of Americans, if they had a $1,000 emergency come up, they couldn't handle it. So
they go further into debt. Well, we know that, by the way, because credit card debt is now $1.1 trillion for the first time in history. So people are having to borrow more and more money just to pay their normal bills, and that's because the price of food is up about 22%, the price of gas is up 30%, the cost of mortgage is up 40%. Yeah, computer costs are down, and iPhone costs are down, but the things that people have to buy, the necessities, those are substantially higher, even though inflation has come down. I want to give Biden some credit. The inflation rate did hit 9.1% in his first 18 months. Now we're at about 3.5% to 4% inflation, but that still means the prices are rising every month. It's just they're not rising as fast as they were.
Yeah, Stephen Moore, I think I've heard you say this, and I've read it elsewhere too, about Americans' credit card debt. We're more in debt, I think, than we've ever been before. Is that...
Well, there's only one person that's more in debt than we are, and that's Uncle Sam.
Yeah, yeah.
We have $1 trillion credit card debt. Uncle Sam has a $34.2 trillion credit card debt. So, it's contagious.
So when we see that Americans are in all this debt, and at the end of the year, I remember seeing a lot of stories about how economists predicted a recession for 2023 and we didn't get one. Is that kind of what's delayed things, that people have said, well, I want to keep my standard of living the way it is, so I'm just going to keep going into the debt. But at some point, that has to give, doesn't it?
Yeah, debts have to be repaid. We're not like the federal government. We actually have to pay our debts back. And so I think you're exactly right that it's better, but I think people look back at how things were under Trump. I mean, let's not forget that when Trump was president, we had the biggest boom ever. Remember, until COVID hit, he was headed to winning a record landslide reelection, and then COVID changed everything. By the way, he also said in his speech, Biden, the other day, that I took over in a disaster. No, he didn't. The economy was actually starting to improve. And we had the vaccine, remember? That was thanks to Operation Warp Speed. But I love Biden trying to take credit for the things that Trump did. And then anything that went wrong under him, it's Trump's fault. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah. That's been from day one. Stephen Moore, Distinguished Fellow in Economics at Heritage, on the phone with us. So you've been around a little longer than I have, but I've never seen in my lifetime such a difference between administrations. It always seems like a president takes over and then you kind of have this lag period, but it was so instant, the difference, not just in the economy, with so many other things too, between Trump and Biden, that if we were to see them run against each other again, Americans you don't have to have a long-term memory to remember how different these 4 years have been.
Well, that's true. In fact, I just saw President Trump right before Christmas, so about a month ago, and I presented him with all the data on the economy and all the things that have gone, and just compared what happened under Trump versus what happened to Biden, and it's a night and day, scenario. It's unbelievable. I mean, almost every statistic that you want to look at was better under Trump than it is under Biden, in some cases by a massive amount.
Stephen Moore, when you talk to the former president, is that something that he is going to make a linchpin to his 2024 reelection campaign? I mean, seems like it would be.
Yep. Yeah. I showed him these charts, and he couldn't believe it. Now, look, you look at, for example, interest rates. Let me just give an example. So the mortgage today is about 6.5%. You know what it was under Trump? 2.9%.
Yeah, exactly. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, and how about this one? I mean, the illegal immigration, the monthly numbers. Did you see they just did a data dump? The border control people, all-time high illegal border crossings last month. All-time high. Never before in American history have we had more illegal immigrants entering our country.
Incredible. I'm looking at a poll right now, and I don't know if this is the kind of stuff that is a direct result of the economy or even the border, but it says polls show that Trump's strength with Latinos is at an all-time high, to the point where Trump actually has a lead with Latino voters for the first time ever. Is that a surprise to you?
No, I think it's attributable to two things. Number one, what Hispanics care most about, because they're hardworking people. They don't collect welfare. They get, they work hard. They do so much of the grunt work in this country. I mean, I'm such admiration for the immigrants who come into this country legally, and do it the right way and work their butts off. So, they want an honest pay for an honest day's work. And when they see the inflation rate go up, they get creamed by that. The second thing that, about Hispanics is they're not into all this LNG crap and all this climate change crap. That's the playground of rich whites. What they care about is their paycheck, about their safety of their cities, about whether their businesses can succeed, and crime. All these things redound to the benefit of Republicans, because Trump did solve all those problems. And so, the Hispanic and the black poverty rate in the United States was lowest in recorded under Donald J. Trump. Did you know that?
I know that he talked about it.
I know. And wait, I'm not done. And the unemployment rate for blacks and Hispanics was the lowest ever recorded. And yet the left goes around saying he's a racist. Does that sound like the policy of a racist?
No, it sure doesn't. It sure doesn't. Stephen Moore, I know that we had you just for a short time this Monday, so we won't keep you any longer, but we always appreciate your hits here on the Andy Fresh Show on Mondays.
Thanks for having me. I hope great talking to you, and I hope that Annie's back next week.
Yeah, I'm sure she will be. So thanks for your time, Stephen Moore. Distinguished Fellow of Economics at Heritage, and of course his book is Govzilla, How the Relentless Growth of Government is Devouring Our Economy and Our Freedom, at Stephen Moore on Twitter. Brad, I was looking at a couple more economic stories, and one of them that caught my attention as somebody who buys rental properties, I've seen this happen too. And if you're not renting, and I don't know what percentage of the people listening to this show would be homeowners versus home renters, but the rental prices across the U.S., I'm looking at the story right now. It says soaring rental prices across the U.S., leading to a rise in homelessness at this point.
For sure.
It has gotten so outrageous. I've tried to just sort of keep pace as a landlord with the economy. And I'll tell you the truth. I mean, this isn't necessarily just about me, but when I set a price for a place, I will find the most average, kind of middle of the road. I'm not trying to go real high, I'm just trying to find the median, price it there, and get a good family into a home who's going to take care of a place. If they do, I never touch it.
Right.
And that's the idea. Not that this is about me, but I just, to see in 2 years that median price that I shoot for go up so dramatically, of course this is going to be the outcome for lower income.
Well, the thing that people don't consider is how much, the price of property has gone up over the past, 3 years?
It's skyrocketed. Everybody knows that. Everybody sees it.
Yeah. So the price of property has gone up.
For residential.
For residential. That means that there is a high demand for people wanting property, and there wasn't as much property to go around. So that has skyrocketed. But then you tack on to that the interest rate spiking because the inflation had gone up and the Fed wanted to cool inflation. The interest rates spike. Well, that drives up mortgage rates. So not only are you paying, is your mortgage rate going to go up because you got to pay a bigger amount of money on the principal, you also have to pay a higher rate of interest, so that makes the payments higher. So the people that are out there that are landlords like yourself, and I don't know if you buy on credit or if you buy on cash or however, that's up to you to decide however you do that.
Oh, no, we're taking loans.
If you're taking a loan out, if you're going to rent that property, you have to have that loan amount covered.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do.
So whenever the loan and the mortgage rates go up for the landlords, that means that rent has to go up to cover their costs, because landlords don't do this like just out of the goodness of their heart. There's
it's a business.
Yeah, there's a profit scheme in there, and it's okay to make profit.
Yes, and that's the I get that we're dealing with people, so I always like to remember, this isn't just it's not dollars and cents only. These are also people's lives that you're impacting here. So I like to be very fair. But you're right. It's just like I've heard this about gas stations. When the cost of oil goes up, the cost of gas goes up. When the cost of gas goes up, you have a smaller margin of percent that you can charge, because there's only so much control you have over the pump. If you own a small gas station, for instance, and it's very much based on the price of gasoline, usually futures, which is a whole different story. But you can't make a whole lot of money on just the gas pump, because it is what it is.
Yeah.
And that's the way so much of the economy is, that everything, when it goes up, your local bakery, they're charging now $1.50 to $2 for a regular donut when they used to charge $1 or less, because all their ingredients are more.
Well, their ingredients are more because if you look at the price of gas going up, it costs more to get the ingredients to the store. I mean, it all snowballs, and it's amazing to me that people don't understand. And I this is kind of how I feel about the Biden administration and his surrogates out there talking about how great the economy is. It's like, I think you'd be better off just spitting in people's faces, and that would be less insulting, because it's like, hey, when you go to the grocery store and you pay your rent and you get your groceries and then you don't have any money left? It's not that bad. Look at the stock market. It's over 33,000. People don't care about that. They care about their pocketbook.
And that's exactly what he's saying.
Yep.
He's saying, look what we've done. Here's some numbers for you to consider.
Yeah.
In the meantime, people are going, I'm still broke.
It's everything that I can do to put food on my table.
All the stuff that's been happening over the last couple of years, how come you weren't talking about that? Because that's what I'm experiencing now.
Yeah.
One clip quickly before we get to a break from Janet Yellen.
Well, I think most Americans know that prices are not likely to fall. It's not the Fed's objective to try to push the level of prices back to where they were.
So you can talk about all the numbers you want. Stephen Moore was just on acknowledging, hey, things are moving in the right direction now. Inflation is down from 9.1% to now 3.5-ish%, which is still a little higher than usual.
Year over year.
But the point is that everybody's going, why does this car cost so much? Why does my rent cost so much? Why are these groceries so much? And if you just sit there and yell at them that what they're experiencing isn't real, you sound more out of touch than if you had just said nothing.
Oh, man, inflation stacks. It's year over year. So it's up 3% from where it was last year at this time. So whenever they say that number, you go, oh, inflation's only 3%. No. It's up 3%. But if you go back 5 or 6 years, you've got to add the inflation on top of that, which means that if you actually want prices to go down, you need negative inflation.
But they'll go on TV and they'll go, hey, inflation is dropping fast. And what they want you to confuse that with is prices. They know that prices are not dropping fast. That was the secretary, that was the Treasury Secretary right there acknowledging. Most Americans know prices are not likely to fall.
Yeah, and
they know that.
That's her saying we're not going to be able to lower these prices.
It ain't going to happen. So the messaging is just shocking to me that they have so little to say and so little to tout because they've got the megaphones to do it and they have nothing to say. Here's your megaphone. Say something coherent that Americans are going to listen to. You're wrong. What you're feeling isn't real. Thank you very much for the interview. We'll see you next time.
The economy is great.
Speaking of interviews, we got another great one coming up from Robert Law, who's been on the show before. He's the director of the Center for Homeland Security and Immigration at America First Policy Institute. We're going to talk about all this Texas stuff that's at the end of last week. It was the story. And I mean, people were yelling like civil war. And now it's Monday and people are like, oh, what's in the news today? Something different. Well, we're going to talk about that with Robert Law coming up next here on the Andy Frey Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
Your garage door is the largest piece of moving equipment in your home. When it needs help, call the experts at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Their certified technicians repair all brands of doors and openers, and you can even schedule evening and weekend service. Just call 314-781-5200 and always look for the red ribbon. It's your assurance you've got the genuine, the original Overhead Door, the most trusted garage door company in St. Louis since 1926. For same-day service, schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. 314-781-5200.
Imagine having all the money you need for retirement, all the income, every month, guaranteed. That's Secure Future Investor, an indexed annuity tied to growth in the stock market, but without any risk of loss ever. It's guaranteed money for life income, no matter how long you live. Call 888-509-2228. 888-509-2228. Sponsored by GP Agency, Inc., Raleigh, North Carolina. Licensed in all states. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial professional before making an investment decision.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Frey Show.
you lie under oath to Congress, Brian, that is impeachable. And that's what Alejandro Mayorkas has done. And not only that, but he's violated the Immigration and Nationality Act 7-8 times over. And these articles spell that out in specificity. Right now, it looks like there's one or two Republicans that are wavering. So I think it will pass. I really do, because Chairman Mark Green, my good friend from the Homeland Security Committee, has done an exceptional job here. And, the proof's in the pudding. Alejandro Mayorkas has perjured himself. He's putting Americans in danger. I mean, opioid deaths have doubled under the Biden administration. And that's hundreds of thousands of American lives at stake here. So I think we must go forward. It's our constitutional duty to do so.
That's Representative Pat Fallon, Republican from Texas, talking about what we're about to talk about with Robert Law. He's the director of the Center for Homeland Security and Immigration at America First Policy Institute. Robert, thanks for being here.
Yeah, happy to be on with you today.
I'm filling in for Annie. My name is Ryan. It's been kind of a last-minute substitution with her having a sick kid right before the show started. So I do want to talk with you about what Republicans have done, which is they've released articles of impeachment against Alejandro Mayorkas over the southern border. Fill us in on what that means.
So this is the formal step for the House of Representatives to begin the process of removing Secretary Mayorkas from his position as the Secretary of Homeland Security. This builds off of months of investigations, formal public congressional hearings, and other document requests and other behind-the-scenes efforts as well. That goes to show that really what's happening at the southern border, it's not because Secretary Mayorkas is incompetent. It's because everything is deliberate, it is intentional, and it is unlawful. And at the end of the day, his refusal to uphold the oath that he has sworn is a dereliction of duty and subjects him to possible impeachment.
So this is something that's been going on for quite a while, and now we're actually seeing some movement on it. Robert, what is this something that is mainly for getting attention onto the border? Because I don't think that it goes to the Senate, and then they probably don't actually remove him. But then we get to see a lot of him on record having to defend what he's done, right?
Well, I think that's right. We'll see what happens in the Senate. But the first step is the House. And at the end of the day, the House of Representatives is the people's house. And they have a responsibility to ensure that the interests of the American people are represented. And so going forward with impeachment is the proper mechanism here. There's only been one instance of a cabinet official impeached in our entire nation's history. Well, what we have going on at the southern border is an unprecedented border humanitarian and security crisis. And so therefore, unprecedented actions are necessary. For over the last 3 years, Mayorkas has had every opportunity to pivot, to reverse course, to utilize all of the policies that the Trump administration had put in place. And instead of doing that, they continue to double down because this is what they want to happen. And so the recourse has to be impeachment.
Robert Law on the phone with us, director of the Center for Homeland Security and Immigration at American First Policy Institute. Robert, we were just talking with Stephen Moore in the last segment about the economy, and the amazing thing is, I don't know that I've seen this really happen very often. Usually the economy is always top of the list, especially in election year, for what voters care about. But at this moment, immigration has overtaken the economy as far as what most Americans are saying this is their number one issue, which means it's not just Republicans yelling this is a problem. This is an American problem now.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And the reality of the border crisis, which, month after month after month is setting all of the wrong records, has literally converted every state into a border state. So this is not just Governor Abbott and, Texans having to deal with it at the Rio Grande. These illegal aliens, we're talking, when you include the gotaways, the people who completely avoided and evaded the Border Patrol, about 10 million illegal aliens have crossed the border one way or the other over the last 3 years. And they are going to every single community in this country, and many of them are draining resources. They are taking over housing, schools. You saw in New York City where American students were forced to do the remote learning that completely failed them during COVID in order for illegal aliens to take over their school to sleep in. You see overtime being cut for law enforcement in order to pay for housing, feeding, clothing illegal aliens. It's impacting, the American people in their day-to-day lives and in their wallets as well. So it's not surprising that this issue is front and center. And this is exactly what the administration was trying to avoid, which is why they were trying to hide the optics of it. They don't actually view what's going on as a problem. It's just a political issue for them, and they don't want the accountability.
Yeah, Robert, this is, we're news, so we hear the big news stories, and we talk about the big numbers and the figures and this impeachment and all of this. But it's when you talk to people, right around here, I know a couple of people who are in school administrations, for instance. We're very connected to the school world here. We're all married to teachers and stuff, but we have friends who are part of different administrations and things in this St. Louis area. And I'm hearing that even St. Louis area schools, now we're landlocked. We are right in the middle of the country. We are not a border city, or we're not a border state, that they're having to deal with so many illegal immigrants who don't speak English that they can't really figure out what to do with them in the school systems, even in our area. And that it's impacting classrooms because then, of course, if the teacher doesn't know how to speak Spanish, they don't really know what to do with kids who can't understand them. I mean, it's all these little issues that this is causing. It's not just the big headlines ones. It's all over the country, right?
Oh, you're absolutely right. And the schools are really ground zero of those downstream effects of an unsecure southern border because illegal alien children are going into these schools. There's a misguided Supreme Court case from decades ago that allows for this to happen. And I'm hopeful that maybe some states will be willing to bring some sort of litigation to challenge that. But, these teachers did not sign up to be ESL instructors dealing with kids who don't know our language, don't know our culture, don't know our history, some of whom maybe have never been in a formal classroom setting before. It's a distraction, and it draws down attention from, American students who are already struggling. You see record lows in our critical math and, English writing skill sets nationwide. This continues to harm Americans. And then there's other downstream effects. Your wait in the hospitals and emergency rooms increase because illegal aliens traditionally show up at the emergency room for even routine care because you can't turn them away. That increases your wait time. And then very often these illegal aliens will then skip out on the bill, which then puts the hospitals and the American people inevitably on the hook down the line for it. So again, it's not just raw numbers coming across the border. They're coming across the border. They're going to every single state in the country, and there is a negative impact on many different aspects of day-to-day life.
Robert, I was talking to a buddy of mine probably a couple years ago now about the drug impact that this was having over the border. I would say this is probably about a year into Biden's term, and he's not exactly a drug hardliner. I think he's probably more libertarian, where he's like, look, all this stuff is a little bit overblown. We need to be much more lax on drug laws, things like that. That's where he comes from. At the time, he was saying, it's a little overblown, the amount of drugs supposedly coming into the country. I think Republicans are making a bigger deal out of that. Even recently, though, he has had to admit, yeah, I think that actually has changed, and it is a much bigger issue with opioids and fentanyl. I mean, these are causing so many American deaths that it really is a health crisis now.
Oh, it absolutely is. Fentanyl poisoning is the number one leading cause of death of young Americans age 18 to 45. I mean, we are literally losing a generation of Americans because of our failure to secure our southern border. And when you hear this administration peddle lies that says, 90% of fentanyl comes through the ports of entry and it's largely American citizens that are doing it, that's false. What they are talking about is what they are catching. And of course you're going to catch most of it at the ports because that's where you have a controlled environment. You have all the scanners, you have the drug dogs. That's a controlled environment. You would expect there to be lots of apprehensions of drugs and other, illicit substances there. What they are not telling you is that as the Border Patrol is overwhelmed dealing with large-scale illegal immigration, that opens up large gaps of the border that is not being patrolled, and that's when the cartels and the smuggling entities are sneaking, very bad actors, our national security threats, our public safety threats, and fentanyl as well. And that is exactly why is the leading cause of death. If they were catching so much of it and stopping it from coming into the American communities, this wouldn't be the number one killer of 18 to 45-year-olds.
It's so sad what we've even allowed Mexico to become in the midst of all this, because if you were just a citizen of Mexico, watching what's happened over the last 4 years where drug cartels have always been a problem, but now it's as if they control entire areas of the country, especially near the border. Man, I would be really upset with the Biden administration if I were the average Mexican citizen. Let me ask you about the battle that was, taking place last week. I don't think it's really gone anywhere, but I don't feel like people are talking about it as much today as they were on Friday. The battle between Texas and the Biden administration. What is the latest? Because all I heard on Friday was that Biden might have blinked on this thing, but where does it stand?
Yeah, so right now, what happened was the Supreme Court ruled last week that the Biden administration was allowed to take down the concertina wire, kind of like a barbed wire material that state officials in Texas had put up to help secure the border that the Biden administration is not doing. But to your point of has the Biden administration blinked, as of right now, the Border Patrol has come out and said they have no intention of doing so. And so you've sort of had this standoff where, Governor Abbott said, I'm going to keep putting this up. And you had a number of other governors come out and pledge their support, said they would bring other personnel and other resources to help Texas in this effort. And really the criticism that Abbott has received by apologists of open borders is saying that, Governor Abbott is defying the Supreme Court. Well, that is not true. Just to be very clear, all the Supreme Court said was that the Biden administration was allowed to take it down. There was nothing that said that Texas couldn't keep putting it up. So if Texas wants to put it up on Monday morning and the Biden administration comes in and takes it down on Monday afternoon, Texas can turn right back around and put it back up again. You can continue to do this game day after day after day. And I think when you saw the sort of this add-on effect of so many governors from all across the country, although notably not the governor of Arizona, who actually does represent a border state, not getting on board with this, he said, are we really going to have the optics of Border Patrol agents cutting down, effective border security systems? And as of right now, we seem to be in a holding pattern. The case is still being litigated in the Fifth Circuit. But, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And again, I think look at who is not signaling their support for what Texas is doing. And I think that goes to show that if you're not going to be with Texas on this, you are complicit with the Biden administration's ineffective policies. You are complicit with human trafficking, and you are complicit with the cartels.
Yeah. Robert Law, director of the Center of Homeland Security and Immigration at the American First Policy Institute. Last question for you before we run out of time here. This idea that the Biden administration keeps floating that, man, we would take care of the border. We really want to. We just don't have the money. Please give us the money in this next budget, and we'll finally do something about it. I don't know anybody who's looking at that and going, well, that's realistic. But what are they asking for money to do exactly?
Right. So that's where the devil's in the details. They want money to process illegal aliens faster. So the problem that we have at the border, it is not a resources issue. There's not enough money in the world that can solve the problem if you do not change policies. So when they say we need more money and it's Congress's fault, they're lying. They want money to speed up processing, releasing illegal aliens into American communities faster. What they don't want to do is put in place deterrent policies. And so now you have this Senate border deal being discussed, and President Biden has said he would sign it, and if only he had this, he could secure the border. That is also not true. There are a number of authorities that already exist in law, things that President Trump used very successfully that Biden undid on day one, and he continues to refuse to use it today. So there's not another law that needs to be passed and not another dollar that needs to be spent at the border until the policies using existing law are actually put back into effect.
Robert, I said that was the last question, but I lied. I got one more for you. How quickly could either this president, Biden, or President Trump, day one, should that happen, how quickly could they change this constant flow of illegal immigration? Would it take a little time, or could they do it like that?
It would be pretty instantaneous at the border itself. There's a number of authorities, including what's known as 212F, where you can basically turn people away at the border, deny people entry on that. it would probably take, I think it would take a couple of weeks to restart the Remain in Mexico policy, but the infrastructure is already in place from the Trump administration. The hardest part is going to be, how do you remove all of the millions of illegal aliens that have been allowed into the country? That'll take a little bit more effort, but I think you would have an America First administration that would try to use as a force multiplier state and local law enforcement personnel to start ramping that up as well. But again, you have to stop the flow first. That could happen very quickly. You just need to have the political will to do so.
Robert Law is the director of the Center for Homeland Security and Immigration at America First Policy Institute. The website is americafirstpolicy.com. Robert, appreciate your time here on a Monday.
Yep, thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you, too. So if you want to find out any more about that, americafirstpolicy.com. Robert Law, we've had him on the show a couple times, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to talk about polling, if you will indulge me, in just a moment. Brad, I'm sort of asking for your permission for this, but I've got this article that I've been kind of sitting on for a couple weeks now. I didn't really know how to get into it, but there's so much polling right now. I haven't seen some good battleground state polling since the primary started.
Okay.
I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed that I haven't seen more out of the battleground state polling. But there is this one that I mentioned with Stephen Moore, and if you weren't listening, you'll find out what that is next. It's kind of a shocking poll. That'll be next here on the Andy Frey Show.
This is the Andy Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
We enjoyed up until today, very mild winter. My personal opinion, it's been very nice, very mild. But winter seems like it is here now. I like to let everybody know, if your furnace is broken, call me. You are a preferred customer of mine. Everybody gets great pricing, excellent treatment, knowledgeable techs, and me. No extra charge to call us. You don't have to pay me in advance for me to get out there same day. Call me, Bart Inman, 314-293-2600. That's Bart Inman, 314-293-2600. Two things to remember: the phone number, and if you're tech savvy, which I'm not, it's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. Happy New Year.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband, and he lost weight, and his cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend lost 20 pounds her first 2 months.
What are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed early bird special, only $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. That's right. Seminars Tuesday, January 30th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights, and Wednesday, January 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
The IRS definitely ramped up operations since the pandemic slowed them down, and activity only increases from here. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. If you're currently under audit or you haven't paid your taxes in the past, now's the time to call the Lance Story Law Firm. The IRS has a published Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which says you have the right to retain legal representation. Because IRS problems are legal problems, and the Lance Story Law Firm focuses specifically on addressing IRS issues for our clients. It's all we do. We get out in front of the IRS, devise the best resolution plan, and work to make sure you're able to take advantage of every program you're qualified to receive. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure company, call the Lance Story Law Firm. We're local, located right here in St. Louis, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer
lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
With over 25 years of experience, Mr. Appliance can fix almost any appliance you have, extending its life, saving you time and money. Call Mr. Appliance today to schedule an appointment. Services performed by independently owned and operated franchises and may vary by location.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. This new year, make some resolutions that will improve the environment. Resolve to use less gas in your car. You can carpool to work a couple of days a week, use public transportation like buses or trains, combine errands to make fewer trips, and take a walk for any distances of a mile or less. And think about an electric car when looking for your next vehicle. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Okay, today's YouTube live chat poll. Who will you cheer for in the Super Bowl? The 49ers, the Chiefs, Taylor Swift, or you're not watching? Jump on Annie's YouTube page, youtube.com/@AnnieFrey, and vote. When you jump on there, you'll find us. You go vote, and what we want to know is we want to know why you voted the way you voted. So leave a comment for us, and we might highlight that at the end of the show when we reveal the results of our poll. The time is 1:46. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Information with perspective on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk. Everyone is welcome.
Just got home from Illinois, locked the front door, oh boy. Got to sit down, take a rest on the porch. Imagination sets in, pretty soon I'm singing.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
All right, Brad, I went down a rabbit hole here when I started looking at this poll because there's so much to it that it's amazing to see multiple outlets reporting the same thing.
Let's reset the table. This poll is from where?
I'm not going to tell you yet. That was a great intro, but I'm going to take a pass. Because it starts with a story that says Univision, which of course is like the premier Spanish language network. Univision cozies up to Trump in the United States, proving the Latino vote is very much at play in 2024. They go into that a little bit more. They say one of the strange twists in U.S. politics has been the remaking of the GOP from the party of the corporate executive in the 1980s to the party of Americans who drive nails, as in working class. Donald Trump's Republican Party is decidedly more working class, and that has drawn especially Latino men, this article says. This is from Yahoo, by the way. Yahoo is not pro-Trump, if you're not aware. It says, Latinos tended to favor Democrat presidential candidates over Republican ones, but Latino men surprised pundits by more strongly supporting Donald Trump in 2020 than was expected based on his 2016 showing. University of Arizona political scientist Lisa M. Sanchez said in a Q&A with the article here. So that led me to look at the polling.
Yeah.
Now to answer your question, who did this polling? USA Today / Suffolk University and a different poll from CNBC All-America Economic Survey.
Okay.
Two different ones. Two, pretty well-known ones too. Both found that Trump has a 5-point lead now with Latino voters. This is the first time in our lifetimes, maybe beyond that. And I don't even know how long they've been polling specifically Latino voters, but at least in our lifetime, this is the first time that we have ever seen a Republican with a lead among this demographic.
Okay.
This is very, very significant because I can't tell you what the numbers were in 2016. It was quoting those. It was talking about how in 2016 he got a certain share, and usually that had been around 30% to 35%.
Yes.
In 2020, it went up by, I think, 10 to 15%, but not 50 yet. At this point, they say if the election were held today, Trump would take 55% of the Latino vote.
Okay.
That is a massive shift in the electorate. And it could have big, big impacts on not just this election, but future elections.
Well, that's the sort of thing that would sink an entire party for a generation.
It would. Let me read from the story here. It says, This was not the direction the WAGs expected nascent Latino voters to lead the country toward. The champion of disaffected, and remember, this is Yahoo. They're not writing about it like they're glad. Toward the champion of disaffected white America to the man who promised to build a wall and make Mexico pay for it. Latinos at the moment support a politician who began his 2016 presidential run referring to illegal immigrants as they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people, unquote. That is Donald Trump. The Latino electorate is moving away from the aggrieved immigrant narrative favored by Democrats. Because you know this, Democrats have painted all Latino voters as aggrieved migrants.
Yes.
And that is not who these people are.
Fake news.
Yeah. If you are an actual Latino American, and maybe you've been here for generations, or maybe you've been here for one generation, you're looking at the Democrats right now going, stop telling me that I'm that.
Yeah. Stop telling me I should feel this way.
Yes. And that is happening across all the other demographics as well.
That's kind of funny that you mentioned. Stop telling me I should feel this way. It's like, you people, stop feeling like you're losing economically. And you people over there, start feeling oppressed.
That's exactly right. They interviewed this guy, Mike Madrid, in he wrote an op-ed in the Los Angeles Times. He's a longtime Republican strategist, former political director for the California Republican Party, and co-founder of the Lincoln Project. So we're not we're not talking about a hard right guy here, and he's no friend to Trump. He says, quote, Biden, who is polling lower among Latinos than any other modern Democrat presidential candidate has at this point, can ill afford to lose any more of the Latino vote.
Well, here's the thing, and like you touched on this to begin with. Has anybody stopped to ask Latino voters what is important to Latino voters?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, has anybody just said, hey, what are the items that are important to you? Like, does socially conservative items matter to you? Issues matter to you? Like, is it important to you that you have rights as a parent over your child? Is that something that's important to you? Is letting in illegal immigrants because, they're the same, they're Latino too. Does that matter to you?
That's exactly right. So that's what I'm saying about Democrats putting everybody, because of their skin color,
it's intersectionality,
into the same category. They go, oh, well, illegal immigrants and Latinos, they probably all have the same mindset.
Yeah.
So we're going to treat them all the same as aggrieved immigrants.
Yeah.
And so they're going to do exactly what we said they were going to do, and we take their vote for granted.
Intersectionality just seems to be another way of defining prejudice. It's like, we want to have prejudiced views about these people. Everybody in this category, so you put everybody in the category, and the people in this category are like this, and people in this category are like this, and people in this category are like that. And they categorized people by race, by gender, and by sexuality. And it's like, okay, so now let's make broad generalized statements about these groups that we've created and then apply our whatever to it. And then act shocked whenever they're like, we're not exactly like that, guys.
Yeah, huge shock. Americans are a little rebellious. We don't like being put in boxes, and when we do get put in one, we tend to rebel against the box. And that is exactly what you're describing here with Democrats doing. They've been doing it for a long time, and you're seeing it not just in Latino voters. You're seeing it across demographics. You're seeing with especially black male voters really moving toward Trump. Now, I don't think we're over the 50% mark here, but when you talk about just this group that they poll moving over that 50% mark, that is a massive shift in the span of 10 years for one group. And of course, we can talk about not putting people in demographic boxes. When they do polling, that's literally what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting to see just the shift among people groups in general.
But whenever they're polling, they're asking these people, they're
what
like,
do you think?
What do you...
they're not telling you what to think.
They're not assigning anything to these people. They're saying, hey, what are your concerns? They're asking that question. And so it turns out that the Democrats' ideas of what a Latino voter is way off base.
And so when you hear, and I'm sure you've heard this, I've heard this, I definitely think it's something to consider and something worth paying attention to in the 2024 election, that when you hear that middle-class white suburban women are still not fans of Trump, well, we can say all day that, yeah, but they're not fans of Biden either, and that's probably true. But the amount that these groups that are moving, even if you have certain groups that still just don't love Trump, if you have a 15-point or more swing among the Latino vote, just for example, that more than offsets any question marks you might have about other groups.
Well, and to the suburban white women voting group, those women that have sons that are or that will be closing in on military age, if we go into a shooting war, there will be a seismic shift away from Biden because they care about their family and they will care about their sons going to war.
Man, we haven't even talked about that yet today. We've had some great guests, but we have not addressed the drone strike. We haven't addressed what senators are talking about with Iran. That's pretty big stuff. We'll probably cover that here shortly. Thank you for the reminder. We'll get to that just after 2 o'clock. Also, a quick reminder, I'm giving you a little hint here. We're giving away Jordan Peterson tickets for February 14th is the date, but we're going to give you a pair of tickets just after, probably like around the end of the next segment. So that's not an exact time, but that gives you a pretty good time to be listening and wait, be the right caller. You get a pair of tickets to see Jordan Peterson. That'll be pretty cool. So we'll come back right after the top of the hour here. I'm Ryan Wiggins, filling in for Annie, who just last minute had to run because of a sick kid. It happens. It's life. We're just on the radio. We got to deal with it differently. That's what we do. This is the Annie Frey Show still. This is Ryan Wiggins. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
You're all set with your Medicare prescriptions, Mrs. Brown.
This is not just low-cost copays at Walgreens.
I can actually help you set up 90-day refills if you want.
This is having a partner you can trust. Get low-cost copays, 90-day refills, and delivery from your neighborhood Walgreens. This is being independent. Together. Walgreens.
Restrictions apply. For details, see walgreens.com/pharmacy.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because no two people sleep the same. Only the Sleep Number smart bed lets you each choose your individual firmness and comfort, your Sleep Number setting. The Climate 360 smart bed is so smart it actively cools or warms up to 13 degrees on either side for your ideal sleep temperature. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition smart bed, plus free home delivery when you add an adjustable base. Ends Monday. For JD Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Mark Reardon, and Annie Frey, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Seats are limited, so go online at retirementkey.com. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering what to do with your life savings? Do you worry about losing your nest egg with the volatility of the stock market? Would you like to know why linking to the market is smarter and safer than owning the market? Did you know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any losses and provide more income than most investment options? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you can't afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, Tuesday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The U.S. is not looking for war with Iran. Elisa Brady, Fox News. That from the White House as President Biden weighs the response to yesterday's deadly drone attack on a U.S. base in Jordan, blamed on Iran proxies who've targeted U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria more than 150 times since October, even after U.S. strikes on proxy targets, while Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen keep attacking ships.
We're mindful of what Iran's doing in the region, and we have taken aggressive action against these proxy groups and on their influence in the region. And there are decisions yet to come.
National Security Council spokesman John Kirby not saying whether the U.S. holds Iran accountable or whether the president would be willing to attack inside Iran. But he's pushing back on criticism about the response so far.
I mean, this idea that somehow we've just, whistled past the graveyard here and walked away from the challenge that Iran poses just isn't borne out by the facts.
Responding to reporters' questions, Kirby also said political calculations are not part of the decision-making, calling it offensive to suggest they would be. At other U.S. bases, defensive measures have been able to take down incoming drones. This time, a combination of human and technical errors are suspected.
There was a U.S. drone returning to the American base, Tower 22 on the Jordanian border, at around the same time as this Iranian drone, and it was a case of mistaken identity, it seems, that the Iranian drone was allowed into that airspace, and then it was also flying quite low, we're told, and it was disguised by the fact that a U.S. drone was expected to return at about the same time.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. The attack killed 3 American soldiers as they slept, wounding more than 30 others. The Pentagon just confirming the soldiers killed were all from Georgia, assigned to an engineer company. Specialists Kennedy Sanders and Brianna Moffitt, both in their 20s, and 46-year-old Sergeant William Rivers. America is listening to Fox News.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
No, I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You're all set with your Medicare prescriptions, Mrs. Brown.
This is not just low-cost copays at Walgreens.
I can actually help you set up 90-day refills if you want.
This is having a partner you can trust. Get low-cost copays, 90-day refills, and delivery from your neighborhood Walgreens. This is being independent. Together. Walgreens.
Restrictions apply. For details, see walgreens.com/pharmacy.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Temperatures will feel pretty good going through our Monday afternoon. 52 for the high with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Tonight, a weak cold front coming by. More clouds, maybe a sprinkle after midnight, 35. Tuesday, kind of a chilly day. Clouds giving way to partly sunny skies Tuesday afternoon and 45. 49 and sunny on Wednesday, 59 and partly sunny on Thursday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This is an announcement to all United States vehicle owners who own a 2003 or newer vehicle with a manufacturer's warranty about to expire, or no warranty coverage at all. With a struggling economy and the cost of living on the rise, Endurance is now offering an affordable, low-cost vehicle coverage plan to the general public. As of today, you could be one of millions of drivers that now may qualify to have your vehicle protected under this coverage and have all future covered auto repairs paid directly to the repair shop for you. You pick your plan. You pick your deductible. You even pick the repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental coverage is included. Get your vehicle protected now and save your wallet from costly vehicle repairs. A toll-free number has been established for you to call for your free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number to call is 800-291-1017. 800-291-1017. Again, that's 800-291-1017. Coverage, deductibles, and claims may vary. For details, go to endurancewarranty.com.
What better way to support your nutrition than with the multivitamin that was created right
right here in St. Louis. Neovitin Original Multivitamin was created by St. Louis physician Dr. Abicki to support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Now, Neovitin Original Multivitamin is formulated with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Abicki's proprietary blend to give you nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Neovitin is now conveniently available through our no-obligation monthly subscription. Cancel or pause at any time, and shipping is free. Support your nutrition with a subscription to Neovitin at neovitin.com today.
When you get your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt, prepare to shout Jackson Hew yeah from the rooftops. In the event you don't get your biggest refund, you will get your money back plus $100.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
The voice for hardworking, free-thinking Americans.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Hey, this is the Annie Frey Show. It's Monday at 2:07, and I'll give you one more reminder that we're giving away Jordan Peterson tickets, and we're going to do that at the end of this segment. So we're narrowing down the time that you have to pay attention to. Just stick around for this segment, and you'll get a chance right at the end of it. I'm Ryan Wiggins, filling in for Annie Frey today. Very, very last minute, of course. If you've been listening, I'll say one more time that it was just at the, she was here, and then
She was standing where you're standing.
She had started the stream already, and then she got a call that her daughter was had a real high temperature, and it was bad, so she had to go real quick. So I just stepped in, and here's us doing the Annie Frey Show. We're 2 hours in, and we got 1 hour to go until Mark Reardon, who, by the way, I can't wait to hear Mark Reardon at 3 o'clock. I just walked by him during the break out there, and he is fuming about the Taylor Swift psyop. I'm not going to tell you which side of it he's on. You'll have to listen.
Is that the one I was talking about?
It's the same one you were talking about.
I love it.
The idea that this is all a setup to get Taylor Swift to endorse Joe Biden and the whole nation love it. Again, that's the claim. It's being floated. I'm not going to tell you where he lands on that, but he's very passionate about one side of it. So there you go. It's also the subject, not exactly that, but it is sort of the subject of our YouTube live chat poll today. Who will you cheer for in the Super Bowl? 49ers, Chiefs, Taylor Swift, or not watching? I'll admit, this year, the audience will probably be even bigger than ever because of that, right?
I can't see how she doesn't bring in new viewers to the NFL.
Even if you don't care about the Super Bowl, you're probably going to see because it's such a spectacle.
I think that there are Taylor Swift fans that want to watch to see Taylor Swift's boyfriend win a Super Bowl.
I agree. And I am not one of those people. Just to give you a little hint as to where I fall on this poll. Transitioning into an issue that Brad brought up a little bit in the last segment, and I said, yeah, we really should talk about that. At the beginning of the show, we talked about the fact that Alejandro Mayorkas could be impeached soon. They have issued articles of impeachment in the House, so that could be happening very, very soon. But this story, I do believe, is just as big of a headline, if not bigger. Here is John Kirby talking about something that happened this weekend.
I think I certainly understand Americans' concern over these repeated attacks by groups that are backed by Iran, Joe. I'm not going to get ahead of the president or his decision space. I mean, you heard him say yesterday, we're going to respond. We'll do that. Obviously, we have now three American families that got the worst possible news over the weekend, and now 30 more others that are injured, some of them seriously. We're going to take this seriously as well. We've got to do what we have to do to protect our troops and our facilities. What the options are available to the president, we're still working through that. He's still working his way through that, and I don't want to close down any decision space on his behalf. That said, we certainly know Iran's backing these groups. We know that they are resourcing, they're supplying. In some cases, they're providing information that allows these groups to do this. We're taking that very seriously. We don't want a wider war with Iran. We don't want a wider war in the region. But we got to do what we have to do.
Look, you ever heard of the VFW? Great organization. I was hoping that within my lifetime, by the time I became an old man, you wouldn't have as high a percentage of Americans that would be in the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, because we wouldn't have as many foreign wars.
You would think that.
We are currently being attacked on foreign soil. Our men and women are being attacked on foreign soil. We have been, I don't want to say just since the Gaza Strip eruption has happened.
It's definitely accelerated since
But
then.
it has accelerated since then. You know, this was happening in Afghanistan. It happened awful in Afghanistan in 2021 in September. So you had Americans, service members dying in Afghanistan then. You have service members now dying. The tweets that I've seen this weekend, Brad, I'm sure you've seen them too. I believe it was John Cornyn from Texas, and it was Lindsey Graham talking about that we need to hit Iran now. We need to take out Tehran. I almost don't even want to step into that particular discussion because then you're talking about, well, how do we respond now? I do want to point out that we should not even be having to have this discussion.
That's a great point.
Just like so many other things, and I think foreign policy is probably the most obvious, but economy, certainly border and national security, these are issues that the bad decisions were made a couple years ago. And those policies have continued to be in place. And now we're seeing the results of those policies. So now we're having to decide, well, how do we respond to our people getting attacked? And not just here, but over and over. I mean, you've seen, this has kind of been a low burn since October 7th, that our embassies, our ships, we've been getting little attacks. It's like they poke.
They call them Iranian proxies.
Exactly.
So they're terrorist groups or militant groups that are funded by Iran.
Yeah, and now we're talking about actual U.S. Army soldiers' deaths. It says 3 U.S. Army soldiers were killed and more than 30 service members were injured in a drone attack overnight on a small U.S. outpost in Jordan. Now, these are places that they shouldn't really be major areas of conflict. They haven't been, and suddenly they are. U.S. officials told CNN, marking the first time U.S. troops have been killed by enemy fire in the Middle East since the beginning of the Gaza war. President Joe Biden also responded. So we mentioned John Cornyn and Senator Lindsey Graham, both of them senators. But President Joe Biden has now also said, as John Kirby mentioned, we shall respond. Brad, you said this in the last segment. We were talking about polling and women, how they feel about Joe Biden.
Suburban moms.
If you start to have to send your sons off to war, that is a major deal. I don't want to talk about it just in terms of polling. That's not the point.
Right.
But that's what led us to saying, yeah, we do need to address this.
Yeah.
Because this is a pretty big deal, and it could be worse. It could get worse. The reason that it could get worse is that the Biden administration doesn't seem to know how to handle anything, especially foreign issues.
Yeah.
What they do is they throw money at problems, hoping that they just will kick the can down the road.
They try to buy off the aggressors is kind of the Biden foreign policy strategy.
Yeah.
It's like if we give them this, then they'll be happy and they'll leave us alone.
And you know what? It's weird because you'd think that would be something that would work. It's awful.
It's not.
But you'd think that it would work. It doesn't work.
Well, it only works if the money solves the issue or the problem that organization or that group has. If the money solves the problem, then they're happy with it. But what these groups that the Biden administration is having trouble with now, it isn't a financial issue that they have. It's an ideological issue.
Well, it's the same. It's the same as if you have a kid who's 5 years old, and the kid is just misbehaving, and you say to the kid, "You know what? If you will just stay still and sit on the couch for Aunt Marcy for the next hour, I will give you this huge box of candy."
Mm-hmm.
And they go, "Well, that sounds pretty good. I get a huge box of candy if I just stay on the couch for an hour? Okay, I think I can try that. I may not behave great, but I'll at least try it."
Mm-hmm.
And so you give them the box of candy, and they're going nuts. And then they not only finish the box of candy, and so they're going crazy because you just gave them something for bad behavior, but they know they can do it again.
Yeah, and then they want more.
And they want more. And they go, "Oh, if I misbehave again, then you're going to give me more." That's the same policy playing out from this administration. It's also what Obama did.
It's you get what you incentivize.
And so they are paying off bad behavior. And these bad actors like Iran, they know, oh, shoot, they're probably looking at the polling just like we are, going, man, if Trump's going to take office, then we need to get everything we can out of these guys right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to escalate, which makes me worried about the rest of the world. It makes me worried about Taiwan. It makes me worried about Russia. It makes me worried about the entire Middle East, not just Gaza.
There's also not that threat of deterrence there. Do you think that Iran wants the full force and fury of the United States military raining down on them? Absolutely not.
No.
And if they were afraid of that happening, they wouldn't be playing the stupid games because they that you would win stupid prizes. But they're winning not stupid prizes.
They're winning money.
Yeah.
They're winning influence. They're actually gaining control over territories that they shouldn't have. This stuff would not, and if you don't believe me, if you're on the left going, oh, you're speculating. It's not. I'm not speculating. It's not just that it would not happen and will not happen under Trump. It did not happen under Trump. I can look back over those 4 years and say those people were scared to death. I at this point, I know George W. Bush comparisons are weird to make because it was a different era in politics, but he had that same weird thing that Trump had overseas. It's the I don't know what he's going to do thing.
Yeah.
They called him, if you remember, adversaries of the United States called him, George W. Bush, cowboy.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what cowboy was quite up to, what he was going to do if they did something out of line. Trump is not a cowboy, but he does have crazy factor.
Yeah.
And he uses it. He's got crazy factor in spades, and he will play every single one of those cards when going into negotiations with foreign actors. He'll say, let's be buddies, Kim Jong-un. Oh, by the way, if you step out of line, we'll destroy you. So let's be buddies instead.
Yeah, let's be buddies.
And so people go, oh, he loves dictators. He loves dictators.
To be buddies.
He doesn't. He knows how to negotiate. And it may not be your negotiation tactic. If you're in business, you probably have your own tactics. Yeah. Those are his.
And let me tack this on, too. They have to believe that you're willing to do something. And there were two different occasions in the Trump administration that I can think of. One was whenever, I think it's al-Assad gassed some Syrian citizens.
Mm-hmm.
He launched a ton of Tomahawk missiles at Syrian sites and did a lot of damage to them. The other one was, and I don't know if you remember this or not, there was a small contingent of Marines at an outpost guarding something. I think it was in Syria. And the Wagner group, that Russian paramilitary force, launched an attack on them. And they rained down fire and brimstone upon those Wagner troops and about wiped them all out. And it was over 500 troops that they just wiped them off the map. And after that, everybody's like, okay, he's serious.
They also never really stopped. So they were drawing down in Afghanistan. They were drawing down in a lot of places. Trump was not an interventionist. Mm-hmm. But when he saw an opportunity, he took it. That's how they took out Soleimani. That's how they took out some of the top.
He dropped the Moab.
They took out some of these top leaders without making really much of a big deal about it. It kept the enemy on their heels. The enemy is no longer on their heels. As of January 21st, 2021, they knew, oh, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
I know that I can start. And they didn't quite move quite quick enough, but they have. They've realized over those last couple of years, oh, we're not going to have any consequences. And so now we're dealing with that, and we're dealing with it worse and worse and worse. And honestly, it does make me a little bit nervous going into 2024 that this could be, right now, people are focused on the economy and the border. Those are big issues.
Yeah.
If somehow foreign policy becomes the number one issue, we're in a bad place.
Or at least a big issue.
Even if it doesn't become number one, if it is on Americans' radar as a reason why I would vote in the presidential election, it's not going to be for good reason. It's going to be because things are spiraling out of control. Nobody wants that. We don't want that. It's just that the guy in charge, and in fact, the administration and really the philosophy in charge, even more than the guy in charge, is not equipped to handle it. And things do spiral without a strong hand guiding those issues. Bad actors are more likely to lash out. And that's exactly what we're seeing in terrible, terrible ways in many instances. And this is just the latest one and affects our soldiers now. All right. It is time now to give away tickets to Jordan Peterson. So if you've been listening for this moment, now is the time. I'm going to give you the phone number. It is 314-241-9797. 314-241-9797. We have a pair of Jordan Peterson tickets to give you right now if you are the 10th caller. 314-241-9797. We'll be giving away a ticket or a pair of tickets to see Jordan Peterson every day this week. And we'll try to give you little hints as to when that'll be, just like we did today. So the phones are lighting up. Be the 10th caller. 314-241-9797. Good luck.
This
is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
Terms and conditions apply. Are you the decision maker in your company? Do you want more control over your business spending? Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management platform designed to save you time and money. Ramp offers unlimited corporate cards with spend controls you can customize to stop wasteful spending before it happens. Ramp makes expense reports a breeze by automatically collecting receipts and matching them to the right transaction. You'll close your books in hours instead of days. Ramp allows you to see all of your company spend in one place, so you can make quick, informed decisions about your business finances. Plus, Ramp will share insights based on your spending to help you cut costs. Over 15,000 businesses have added up to 5% to their bottom line with Ramp. You can be one of them. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free. ramp.com/free.
The NFL playoffs live on Odyssey.
Throws, caught, touchdown as time expires.
Unbelievable turn of events. Non-stop coverage from the biggest sports radio stations in the country. Podcasts dedicated to each NFL team and postseason games streaming live for free.
Takes the handoff, looks right, throws right, end zone, caught, touchdown.
Your playoffs, your Odyssey. Get in the game and download the free Odyssey app today.
My whole identity had been wrapped up in being a soldier. To have that so violently ripped from me when I was wounded, I was lost for a very long time. When Wounded Warrior Project came into my life, being around the other warriors, people that had similar experiences that I did, it was a game changer for me. Having King join the group, that was the beginning of a really good friendship. But it's a good time.
I first heard about Wounded Warrior Project through CQ. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know if I qualify. But having been a part of it, it's kind of taught me that it's not just the wounds that you can see, but it's those that you can't.
When you do something like a peer support group with Wounded Warrior Project and come together from different walks of life, man, the growth is incredible. If not for Wounded Warrior Project, I really don't think that I'd be here today.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
SSM Health welcomes the St. Louis Golf Expo, February 2nd through 4th at St. Charles Convention Center. Buy tickets online and get a round of golf and bonuses at the door while they last. Presented by the Post-Dispatch. Shop big brands with Pro-Am Golf. Enjoy the Dave Sinclair Lincoln Long Putt, DraftKings at Casino Queen Simulator, and lessons by Next Level Golf at the Golf Expo, February 2nd through 4th at the St. Charles Convention Center. Thanks to Doers, Crown Royal, Michelob Ultra, and PXG. VIP tickets at stlgolfexpo.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. If your furnace isn't working, get in your comfort zone with 55 years of award-winning HVAC services from Air Comfort Service. Save $20 off any service repair at aircomfortservice.com.
Want to listen to 97.1 outside the listening area? There's an app for that. Download the Odyssey app, and one tap will turn the station on. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk.
They call me offensive, controversial. It's only new genders, boys and girls. They can't cancel my message because I'm the biggest independent rapper in the whole freaking world. Claim that I'm racist, yeah, alright. I'm not ashamed because I'm white. If every Caucasian's a bigot, I guess every Muslim's a terrorist. Every liberal is right. I don't want to talk to folks who don't get it. Go woke, go broke, no hope, it's pathetic. Pro-choice, pronouns, pro-love, you're progressive. But you ain't pro-gun, no one to protect it. Where the American flags at? Remember when people would hang those? They've been taken down, they all been replaced with BLM flags or a rainbow. This ain't rap, this ain't money, cars and clothes. We ain't selling drugs, we ain't gonna overdose. We ain't pushing guns, ain't promoting stripper poles. We won't turn your sons into thugs or your daughters into hoes. I don't care if I offend you.
All right. What are we listening to?
It's called Facts by Tom McDonald featuring Ben Shapiro.
This is the #1 song in the nation right now?
Yeah, it's popped off on iTunes.
Amazing. Considering the little bit that I do know about the music industry, it's not easy to get to #1 when you're up against big names.
This is Ben Shapiro right here.
We'll get there. I've got a clip of it, so we'll get there. But when you're up against big names, so here's what happens. Taylor Swift has done this. I hate to tell you, Leah, but Taylor Swift has done this.
It's okay.
I know you're a fan. Beyonce, every big name and big label, they buy their own tracks. So they release something, and big name authors do this too. They will buy their own books or their own music to push themselves up in the charts.
Yeah.
Well, then once you get higher in the charts, people pay more attention to you, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So for that song to have broken and made it to #1.
Yeah, because Tom McDonald's independent, self-produced, no label. He makes his own music and releases it.
I was reading up about him before the show, although that's literally the first time I ever heard that song.
Yeah.
I was reading up about this just because it's kind of a story because it's #1. And Rolling Stone had to report on it because they're a music magazine.
Did you hear him like cringing as they wrote it?
They called him, I think if I'm getting the quote right, it was a far-right troll rap is the way, or far-right troll rapper is the way they kind of, They tossed him aside and they said, "Oh, this is just stupid."
What did they call Ben Shapiro?
I don't know that they reference Ben Shapiro so much.
What?
Do we want to listen to the Ben Shapiro part?
Ben's got bars.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've not heard this. Literally, that's the first time I ever heard the song, let alone Ben Shapiro's part in it. All right, here we go.
Let's look at the stats. I've got the facts. My money like Lizzo, my pockets are fat. Homie, I'm epic. Don't be a wap. Dog, it's a yarmulke. Homie, no cap. Look at the graphs. Look at my charts. You're blowing money on strippers and cars. You going to prison. I'm on television. Dog, no one knows who you are. Keep hating on me on the internet. My comment section all woke Karens. And I make racks off compound interest. Y'all live with your parents. Nikki, take some notes. I just did this for fun. All my people download this. Let's get a Billboard #1.
Okay.
So if you listen to that, he took some shots at some people that he's had beef with before. So My pockets are fat like Liz. My pockets are like Lizzo. They're fat with cash.
Oh,
Yes.
is that what that? I didn't catch that.
That was amazing.
Okay.
He said something about WAP. Well, that's a shot at Cardi B.
Right.
He
I got
addressed
that.
Nicki Minaj at the end there.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite line is where he's talking about I make stacks off of compound interest.
I know that kind of stuff in rap music is so funny.
It's amazing.
You know,
but it's like
banker lingo.
He's like, I did this just for fun, and he's right. It's just him being fun, having fun doing this.
So I guess Nicki Minaj and Ben Shapiro have a history.
Yes, they have had a.
This is news to me.
Yeah, this has been a year or two ago. They had
because Ben Shapiro would take shots at the morality of
at rap, just in general. He says rap is not a talented musical form. Anybody can do it, and everybody's like, "Well, no, he's doing it," and he's like, "I know."
Oh, and he's number one.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
I mean, let's be honest. Tom McDonald is the big part of this, but just to bring Ben Shapiro on for
it's
a
just
verse,
funny.
It's great.
It really is. I mean, Rolling Stone's not way far off here. Like he's right. I don't know if you call him far right or not, but he's definitely not center. There's a clear political bent to the music.
For sure.
And if you're gonna bring Ben Shapiro into a song, you are trying to basically troll the music industry.
Oh yeah.
You don't bring Ben, like, if you know who'd be great on my next country album? Sean Hannity. Like, you just don't do that without knowing the pile you're about to step into. But apparently, I looked this up. Nicki Minaj says, okay, it's pretty good. She liked it. She likes the song.
Yeah.
Rapper Nicki Minaj congratulated conservative commentator Ben Shapiro on his featured rap song with Tom McDonald dubbed Facts, which reached #1 on the U.S. iTunes chart. She says, I just listened to it, Ben Shapiro. Not bad. Minaj wrote in a Saturday post on Twitter. Congrats on #1, but it definitely sounds like Roman's Revenge when the beat first came in. I don't know, which is her song. So she's also saying, yeah, it's not bad, but it's because you sound like me. I think that's what she's going for here.
But that is a way of attacking somebody in a diss track, is to rap in their style to show that they're not unique.
I'm not. You're familiar with this?
Yeah, I remember when Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly had that back and forth.
Okay.
And like Eminem, a couple years ago.
Eminem responded to Machine Gun Kelly's with a verse in Eminem style, and then he went into Machine Gun Kelly style, and then back to Eminem
So
style.
I think Eminem has a song called Rap God, so Machine Gun Kelly came out with a song called Rap Devil or something. It was something like that. They were going back and forth.
So there's always been rap battles.
Oh, yeah.
I just didn't know they were actually using their own styles to do it now. Okay. It was always East Coast, West Coast when I was in high school. And I talked about that as if I thought it was something I should know about and knew nothing about.
East Coast, West Coast, Dirty South.
Oh, yeah. And you'd be like, oh, yeah, he's an East Coast rapper. But, oh, okay. Then I understand. If he's an East Coast rapper, I get where he's coming from. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I went back and listened to him, and there are two distinct styles and beats and rap styles.
You're the
that go
kid
with
in high school that I'd be like, yeah, I agree.
I didn't
and
notice it in
pretend
high
to
school,
talk
though.
like I knew what I was talking about when I would talk with you.
But I didn't notice it in high school, and I didn't
You're
talk about it in
pretending
high
now.
school.
You don't know now.
I do. I could tell you if it's East Coast or West Coast.
Oh, man, I kind of want to have a rap battle now. But I don't know where the song... I don't even know who I would pull up. That's how much I don't know.
I think you have a new project to work on.
I think you do.
No.
Yeah.
Leah against two.
So the song... Oh, here it is. Rolling Stone characterized him as a far-right troll rapper. Also reached #1 spot in the hip-hop and rap charts, amazingly. He says, let's see, what's his name?
Tom McDonald.
McDonald says, I want to thank God and my parents who paid for 15 years of classical violin lessons so I could become the #1 rapper in America. Oh, no, sorry, that was Ben Shapiro.
I was going to say, that's Ben Shapiro.
That was Ben Shapiro that said that. The duo's song is an anti-woke song in which Shapiro takes shots at multiple artists, including Minaj, with whom he's had a feud before. In June of last year, Shapiro and Minaj had heated Twitter exchanges over the founder of Daily Wire reacting to a song called Pound Town 2.
I wonder what that's about.
I don't know.
I don't know if we could talk about what that's
about. It's about adopting puppies.
Yeah.
2 of them. And they're brothers and sisters. And he, for some reason, had a problem with that. This is the extent of my rap knowledge. Some fans were puzzled by Shapiro participating in a rap song, considering he told indie rapper and podcast host Zuby that the genre is not really music. But that's the point of the troll, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so rap news. Did you guys see that Snoop Dogg? I'm not going to say he's endorsing anybody for president because that's not what he's doing.
It's not an endorsement.
But he has said some things. You're familiar with this?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay, because I'm deferring to you guys here because this is way outside my lane. Snoop Dogg now says that he has nothing but love and respect for Donald Trump.
Yep.
Rapper Snoop Dogg did a U-turn on his opinion about Donald Trump because if you remember, I think it was 2017. Didn't he do a music video where he was just shooting a facsimile of Donald Trump in the video? Okay. He has nothing but love and respect for the former president following years of staunch criticism. In an interview with London's The Sunday Times over the weekend, the Gin and Juice rapper, I know that song, was asked about his thoughts on the GOP frontrunner in the upcoming presidential election. He replied by praising Trump, mentioning the former president pardoned Michael Harry O'Harris, a former associate of Suge Knight. And I pronounced that right, even though it looks like Suge. Donald Trump, Snoop Dogg said, he ain't done nothing wrong to me. He has only done great things for me. He pardoned Michael Harris. So Knight, along with Harris and Dr. Dre, co-founded Death Row Records in the 90s, which signed Snoop Dogg early in his career. Harris was convicted of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, but was pardoned by Trump in 2021 after serving 30 years of a 25-year-to-life sentence, according to USA Today. Does this surprise you to see Snoop Dogg doing a U-turn? It does me.
Well, for me, at least he's open-minded and he looked at what his beef with Donald Trump was prior to Trump doing anything in office, So he was buying into the hype that was being fed to him about Trump being a racist and Trump hating this and Trump hating that and all of that other stuff. And then Donald Trump got into office and didn't do any of the stuff that everybody was saying he was going to do. And then he's like, oh, and not only did he do that, he passed prison reform. He, pardoned my friend, so maybe he isn't so bad.
I think pardoning the friend is probably the change that happened there. But just looking at some past quotes from him in 2016, Snoop said, never seen a MFR, I won't say it, like Trump, asking, how could we have someone as reckless as him running our country? In 2018, he said, he was very, very critical of Trump and Kanye West, but now says, I have nothing but love and respect for Donald Trump. I think the thing that's interesting here is that in the midst of the crazy of 2017 through 2021, or 2016 through 2020, however you want to put it, it did feel like, man, this is chaotic. But in the last 4 years, it's like America and maybe the world have gone, you know what? It wasn't any different than it is now.
It wasn't chaotic. This is chaotic.
This is still chaotic, and this is with the supposed, problem solver. Like everything was supposed to kind of go back to calm. Even if he didn't do the policies, he was supposed to bring a calm, which really, in my opinion, is led by the media. Mm-hmm. If the media is yelling, then it makes things feel icky and uncomfortable. And when a Democrat's in there, they tend to calm down a little bit. I think two things have happened. One is that Donald Trump and Joe Biden have had such different presidencies that we've seen the dichotomy in a way that we've never seen before. The second is the rise of secondary media in a way that it didn't exist in 2016. Now in 2024, the traditional media still exists, still is very powerful, but not quite as powerful as they used to be. And so they're not able to quite control the narrative and the feeling about an administration as they used to be.
Same thing with even like the alternative medias with Elon Musk buying Twitter. And I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but Twitter notes, community notes in Twitter, if you say something like if a prominent figure says something that's decidedly untrue, community notes is all over that. And they're all over it on both sides, so you can't get away with the gaslighting anymore.
It's nice. I mean, it's nice because you read an article, and that is honestly so much news. If you're not on Twitter, it's okay. But news doesn't happen faster anywhere else other than Twitter. It just is. It's just there instantly. And to the point where if you don't check it for a day, sometimes I'll come back on a Monday or a Sunday if I skip Saturday, and I'll come back. Some major news item would have happened on Sunday, and people are already commenting about the commenting so much that I can't find the original story. It's that fast. But you're right. The media has moved, and I think it's a good thing as far as getting alternative voices out there. It also is just surprising the way that you thought during Obama's term, it felt to me like movies, TV shows, the news, it just was calmer because they liked what he did. Even if the news item itself was bad, even if there were riots happening somewhere, the way they were covered was kind of positive. Like, and what it does is to you is you go, you know what, everything's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't directly like internalize that immediately, it kind of gives you that wash. Whereas when Trump, it was the exact opposite. It made you, no matter what he did, he tweets out Kofif, and you go, oh my gosh, like, what's he doing? He's the leader of the free world. He can't even spell a word. I don't even know what he's saying. And it makes a issue out of everything. And I just don't think that we're in a place now in the media environment that we're ever going to go back to everything's okay. No matter who's in office, you're going to point out the flaws of the other side in such a big way that America's never going to feel nice and calm again. It just won't happen.
Yeah.
And in a sense, that's good for Donald Trump because it makes you compare the actual results of one president to another.
Well, it's good for the American people, too, because they'll start looking at that rather than going off their emotions and their feelings.
That's true.
I always, emotions are the shallowest part of the human soul, and you're not going to find your deepest works there. You need to combine it with what your mind is doing as well. And you have to be able to set aside your initial reaction to something visceral or whatever, set it aside and examine it from a logical standpoint. And we just, as a people, as human beings, we don't do that. We are very emotional and reactive.
Coming up next on the Annie Frey Show, I examine Brad's statement that emotions are the weakest part of the human soul in great depth and detail.
Shallowest
part of the human soul. Never mind. I like that quote. I was going to do it if it was the other way. Just kidding. I have a story that I've been waiting to get to all day, and we'll get to, of course, the results of the poll. Oh, congratulations to Lori from St. Peter's. Laura from St. Peter's on winning the Jordan Peterson tickets. We'll be doing that all week. I want to know what your work week would look like if you could control it, because that's happening more and more. And there's a story from MoneyWise here on Yahoo that in the midst of all this kind of recession talk and stuff, that maybe you're going to see your hours cut, but that they're going to spin it as a positive thing. I don't know. We'll see. Coming up next here on the Annie Frey Show.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
Surprise! Surprise! You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar February 6, 2019. Nothing worked before. Left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds, and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day, and nothing worked until Mark Patrick hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food, crazy, enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick hypnosis really works?
It's amazing. I can breathe again. My blood pressure went down, and I've got so much energy.
So much energy.
And look great.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars early bird special, only $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings. That's right. Seminars Tuesday, January 30th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights, and Wednesday, January 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
Need a break from the sound bites and the talking heads? Do you want information you can actually use? Information that'll change your life for the better? Then listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey guys, Glover here for a brand new sponsor to the show, Master.com. That's MASTOR.com. If your phone system does not allow you to be anywhere in the world, if it is not connected to the cloud, if it is not partnered with Nuso, which is a St. Louis company and a nationwide leader in cloud-based phone systems, then you are with the wrong company. We are local. We're family owned. We're great at what we do. Once again, find us at Mastor, MASTOR.com. That's master.com for the best phone service.
Today's YouTube live chat poll: who will you cheer for in the Super Bowl? Will you cheer for the 49ers, for the Chiefs, Taylor Swift, or you're not watching the Super Bowl? Jump on the Annie Frey YouTube page and vote in the poll, and then tell us in the chat why you voted the way you voted. We're going to reveal the results coming up next and maybe feature some of y'all's comments. The time is 2:46. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. Ladies and gentlemen, it's happened. The NFL has rigged the Super Bowl so Taylor Swift can give Joe Biden her endorsement. It's a bunch of crap and nonsense, but we're going to talk about it coming up.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Leah, who is this?
You have no idea?
Don't take him off the hook. You got to guess like Annie does.
So I will say he has three names, I guess.
So he's one of those guitar god guys.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I can't. It's like right on the tip of my tongue. Somebody put it in the chat.
No, don't do that.
I-
Don't do that. Don't give it to him.
I had a friend who is now a doctor who lives in Detroit. He's like a very, very prestigious doctor. He would always walk around in high school singing that song under his breath to himself. I don't know
that
why.
song?
That song. He would just be walking around. I'd be like, hey, it's Jason. And he'd just be walking. He'd be like, standing next to a mountain. I'm like, why always that song? Why does that song
Do
get
you
stuck
even know
in
what
your
that
head?
song's called?
No.
Okay.
But I associate it with that
Just gonna leave
guy.
you hanging.
Yeah. Somebody, come on. SRV. Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. Let's
give
talk.
credit. Give credit.
Who is it? Dan M. SRV. Thank you. I got it just from the initials. There is a story that I've been kicking around this whole show that I've never gotten to that I want to run by you guys. It is a situation that is real for many employees of this company. It says, follow the math. 40 hours minus 8 hours minus 20% pay equals 1. So for a Canadian purchasing software company that was already struggling, I guess part of their purchase was that this company was struggling. And they said, well, we'll buy it, but then we got to reduce costs. So the way that they did that was they told all their employees, apparently, you get Fridays off now. And everybody's like, sweet.
They're like, yay!
You also get 20% less pay.
Oh.
So, but their math is that, hey, if you have 5 days a week, we take away one, that's 20%. So you get a 20% pay cut. Take it or leave it. What do you think?
I don't mind working on Fridays. I kind of feel the same way about
I guess that's true
school.
here.
Like when they would always say, like, do you want like a 4-day school week instead of 5? It's like, I don't mind.
Well, what about, say it's Monday. You
Yeah.
can take Monday off. Does that change anything for you?
No.
So you're fine with the 5
Yeah.
days?
Yeah.
I kind of am too. I would be okay with it as long as I was using Friday or Monday to do something.
Yeah.
I don't want to just have another day to do nothing. I want to be. I'd have to be productive because I'm getting a 20%
Well, it would
pay
just
cut.
be like this, like a normal day.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, no, you wouldn't be here. So you'd have 4 days here and one extra, a 3-day weekend every weekend. So I mean that sounds nice, but you get a 20% pay cut.
Yeah, no, I'm okay.
Yeah, I kind of am too. Brad's texting somebody
Yeah.
to find out if he can make it work.
No, I can't make it work. It's for me. It's like I would be okay with it if I knew going in that I was only going to work 4 days a week. But if I was working 5 days a week and I've built my budget on that salary and all that other stuff, they're like, hey, we're going to cut you to 4 days and cut your salary by 20%. I'd be like, oh, I need to make other plans then because my budget isn't set up for
That's
this.
where I'm at. I'm like, well, it'd be great to have the extra day. I mean, we enjoy, especially if it's Fridays. Like Fridays are really fun here. But so it's not about changing the work. Having the extra day off would mean that I would basically have to find something else to do in that extra day to make back the 20%. So I don't know that I would actually take that deal. But none of these people had an option, apparently. They just said, this is the way it's going to be. Another financial story, although a lot more ridiculous. Catherine O'Hara, you know who she is?
Yes.
From lots of things, Home Alone, all of the Waiting
She's
for
the
Guffman
mom,
and
for
all that
those of you
stuff.
that are wondering.
Yeah, the mom. She's weighing in on the apparent wealth of Home Alone's Peter and Kate McAllister. She played Kate.
They were loaded.
They were. The house is huge.
They were loaded.
They have a huge family. They're all going
Uncle
to
Frank is expecting them to pay for his trip to
That's
France.
right. That's right. Paris. Yeah, they're going to Paris for the holidays just for fun.
Yeah.
So last month, the New York Times published a report estimating that the family from the 1990 Christmas classic was in the top 1% of earners. We would have to be in
1,000%.
Chicago, the metropolitan area where the film is set. The news outlet worked with economists at the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Who estimated that the McAllisters would have to have earned an income of about $305,000 at the time, which now would be closer to almost $700,000.
Dang.
In order to afford the home featured in the movie. The real Winnetka, Illinois home used in the film has a current off-market value of around $2.3 million, which I wonder is because of it's the movie house too. You know,
part of that.
I don't know.
But I mean, it's a big house in a wealthy neighborhood in
Yeah, it certainly is.
Chicago suburbs.
It
so.
certainly is. So Catherine O'Hara weighed in and said that she never gave much thought to their income, of course, but she says, I was aware of how beautiful it was, but no, I never thought of their money. That's not where my head was when I was doing the movie, of course. They all went to Paris. We just mentioned that. She says, I guess Peter had his own religion. What?
Okay.
She quips and she says, Church of the McAllisters. That people have these theories, she says, where'd they get their money? Maybe either they had a religion, which I don't know where that comes from, or they inherited it. And then she stops and she goes, they inherited it. So that's what she's going with, is that I guess it's interesting to me because, you know, when they play these characters, they got to get into the mind of the character a little bit. I think she is realizing something that I've thought since I first saw that movie. These people were kind of dumb. Like, for all these things to happen in the way, you're like, I know that there's a plausible explanation for every event that you can kind of say, well, it wasn't their fault. But for all of it to play out the way that it did, you're like, you're counting a neighbor kid's head as you're going through the van.
But if you remember, that was one of the girls that she had asked, one of the cousins she had asked to get a head count.
Yeah, but then wouldn't you want to do it and make sure you have all your kids? instead
You
of
would
just
think
rushing.
that, but man,
I don't know. She's saying that they inherited the money, which I think is as plausible of a definition as anything else for that movie. Let's get to the YouTube live chat poll results. If one of you guys want to pull up the results, because I don't have them here. The poll is, who will you cheer on
I have the poll ready.
in the Super Bowl? 49ers, Chiefs, Taylor Swift, or not watching? I'll start and we'll go around the room. I'll say, even for somebody who's not really that interested in the NFL in general, I'm still going to be rooting for the Chiefs, and I will watch the Super Bowl. I think it's a fun event. I'm going to be rooting for the Chiefs. It's our team. I mean, not the Rams, but we've inherited the Chiefs as our team.
look at me. No, it isn't. Stop it. They're Kansas City's team.
Yeah,
the
but
Rams are my team, not the Los Angeles Rams, the St. Louis Rams.
it's even harder for us.
And not only that, I think that the Kansas City owner voted to send the Rams to Los Angeles so they could suck up the TV markets here in St. Louis.
I think that's not implausible, for sure.
So I'm bitter, and I will be not watching it.
But you're not going to watch the Super Bowl?
No.
You're kidding.
I don't care.
Oh, man, just the food alone is worth
Yeah.
it. I mean,
I
that's
wouldn't be at a
honestly-
party eating food.
And the halftime show.
I won't be watching it.
You're going to avert your eyes.
No, I'll just be in a
You're gonna
different
turn on
room
the
doing
Puppy
other
Bowl.
things. Yeah, Puppy Bowl is it.
Leah, do you know what the Puppy Bowl is? You act like you don't.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've
Okay.
never watched it.
It's enthralling TV. It's clearly recorded way ahead of time and edited to where there's no continuity. The puppy, like, oh, he's chewing a rope. Let's use that part.
And he's in the end zone.
Yeah, like
Touchdown.
and then like they cut, and it's completely different dogs. They don't
Same
even
name,
acknowledge
though.
it. Yeah, yeah, right. It's terrible. So what are you gonna do, Leah? Before we move on, what are you gonna do for the Super Bowl? You watching? You rooting for the Chiefs, 49ers, Taylor Swift? Not watching it all.
I'm definitely watching because we're
Okay.
hosting a party. But for this poll, I am the 5% that voted for Taylor Swift. I will say that.
Okay,
Guessing
so
it's just me.
there's the beginning of it. There's the beginning. So 5% Taylor Swift. Who's got the results?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
49ers have 15%. Chiefs have 55%, and 26% of the people are not watching.
See, go Chiefs.
Yeah.
If at all. I know that if it's NFL, I get why 26% of people would go, I don't even care because it's the NFL. I totally understand that. But when your friend has wings, and maybe even, not your friend has wings, like your friend is serving wings.
Your friend has wings. They had a Red Bull.
It's like, what are you talking about?
Then you show up. I don't care what the party is, you just show up. I'm Ryan Wiggins. I've been filling in for Annie today. I imagine we will see Annie back tomorrow. This is the Annie Frey Show. Mark Reardon coming up next with some high commentary on the PSYOP that we've just been talking about with Taylor Swift. Stick around.
Hey guys, Glover here from my friends at ThrottleNet. So I'm so very proud to have represented the guys at ThrottleNet for all of these years. They are the IT geniuses. George and Mike are the owners. Fantastic guys. They can do all of your IT. They can do a portion of your IT. They have the best Apple support team. Their response time is under 2 minutes. Think about that, under 2 minutes. Something goes sideways with your IT, and they are solving your problem. And they're solving your problem within 2 minutes. Now, let's talk about cybersecurity. Most companies in St. Louis don't have cyber liability insurance. You get hit, you're on the hook, you're probably out of business. With ThrottleNet, if we represent you, we protect you. The first $500,000 that someone hits you for, which isn't going to happen, but if it does, we pay it. $500,000. That's what you're covered for with ThrottleNet. Go to throttlenet.com/DGS for all the information. Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient